Hello everybody and welcome back to LPL English, where we continue on in the Split 2 playoffs of the 2025 season. My name is Grapes, joined alongside Cubby. This weekend we went through the entirety of the upper bracket quarterfinals, that first round of the postseason, and now we're going to continue on into that upper bracket semifinals over the next 2 days, starting off with a best of 5 between Top Esports and Billy Gaming, two titans in the space, Cubby, and we're very excited to see who will be the first team to punch their ticket to that upper final.
Yeah, I am excited about this one, Grapes. I had to do some homework, a little bit of catching up. I know that we were just seeing each other less than 24 hours ago, so kind of wild going across the country to get here and be the reinforcements that the LPL English broadcast needed. So shout out to the team for helping cover. Of course, we were at CLOL Finals for Collegiate League of Legends. Thank you to the team for covering. I know we had some interesting role swaps and stuff, but Grapes, excited to dive in and catching up on some of the tape that I missed out on. I do think that both teams, especially BLG, in quite good form coming into this one.
Absolutely, yeah. And BLG been looking better and better as the split has gone on. Meanwhile, Top Esports still kind of hovering around as just being the consensus #1 team throughout the regular season. And so, despite some of their struggles a little bit in that first round of the playoffs, I think we're still very confident about what they can bring. But again, if you are just tuning in, catching up for this very exciting series, you might be wondering what the format looked like to get here, and we have a full look at that right now. We had a little bit of a different split regular season compared to typical things that we do around because of the extra teams that we have in the LPL. Group Ascend and then Group Nirvana, and all 8 teams, Cubby, that made it into the playoff bracket were from this Group Ascend pool.
Of course, globally this year, all the formats for different splits, with the 3-split format being a bit unique. And here we're trying to beat the global trend of people don't know what the format actually is, so we tell you every broadcast here at the LPL English. Of course, diving into playoffs, we are now even past that play-in stage. We do have our 8 teams for playoffs, and it was a hard-fought battle to get here, and a hard-fought battle in our double elimination bracket to decide who goes to MSI and EWC from the LPL.
Yeah, just to the top 2, and winner of these matchups of the next 2 days in these upper semis, at least guarantee yourself top 3. So after you get yourself there, you need just one more series to clinch that MSI bid. But this is the bracket so far. We went through that first round over the past 2 days, as we said, double BO5 days, by the way, and generally we got what we were expecting. However, we got a big upset just to wrap up our day yesterday with Weibo Gaming going and coming back to beat JDG 3-2.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. Erha, of course, having a big pop-off series as Weibo. So kind of been playing around with what support they're going to run with for playoffs. I have a feeling that Erha is going to be starting in at least game 1 against Kyle and AL here. So that was a pretty big surprise. Everything else, kind of what we assumed. I think the FPX game 1, they did a really nice job of playing the Pantheon comp against Top Esports, where they really figured things out from there. Meanwhile, BLG 3-0ing IG. I had that one on my bingo card for predictions. So, all good. And, of course, as you highlighted, Grapes, the 2 matchups we have coming up, winners guarantee a top 3 spot, and top 2 going to MSI and EWC. Important match to win to avoid the lower bracket and give yourself that best chance to qualify for the 2 big internationals we have coming up.
Well, before we fully dive into what this matchup does have in store, let's first take a step back to the split as a whole, because the LPL announced their awards, over the past couple of days, but we have our awards and our votes for certain things here on LPL English specifically, and so we're going to go through them kind of throughout the next couple of days to unveil things like All-Pro, MVP, but first of all here, Rookie of the Split. And Cubby, I think it was pretty much a unanimous decision here that your LPL English Rookie of the Split was none other than Erha of Weibo Gaming.
There wasn't much of a choice here in terms of what we had. And man, Erha giving me flashbacks, honestly, just being that former mid laner, role swap to support. I definitely think we saw that with some of the set gameplay. But I thought that for a rookie support, again, that role swap, being a younger player, he actually did come in at that higher level. He really proved it in that series against JDG. We were a little bit unsure about this one because, of course, going into playoffs, he was benched for Hong, right? So we're like, all right, this feels like the only right vote. We just have to put it in for Erha. But now we look like geniuses for honoring him the day after he just decided to smurf on JDG,
Exactly, yeah. I mean, when this guy first came on to this team, it was such a fresh breath of life for Weibo Gaming, who really looked like they were struggling for the most part. Then they had that late season slide where even with Erha, they were looking a little bit less than ideal. But as you mentioned, going into the play-in stage, and then of course that playoff series against JD Gaming, he's been a really big reason as to why Weibo Gaming are kind of punching above their weight class so far, and all of a sudden are doing the Weibo thing where they suck a little bit in the regular season, but they become a big threat when we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, look, I think joining as a rookie, like, this guy is still probably likely middle of the pack in his role. Probably not in playoffs, right? Going to be lower end, but a rookie support, that's a really hard role to step into. I mean, oftentimes, right, we have people role swapping to support, to utilize the experience. It feels like one of the most important traits that you can bring to that role. The fact that Erha, as a younger player, was able to show some decent engage angles and good mechanics, and just, again, had a pretty good base in terms of starting as a support. It's a hard role to step into in the LPL, and I thought that he looked rather promising. So, shout out to Erha, of course. Easy to talk about him. We didn't even fly clips from the series yesterday, because if you guys watched that, well, you would have seen some Tempered Fates that found a few as Erha did some popping off.
Regular season awards. We got to make sure we highlighted the earlier parts of the season for why we voted for him, not necessarily our confirmation bias once the playoffs did actually end up taking place.
Let me talk about confirmation bias, Grips. I need everything I can get to, you know, always sound fake smart, right?
Yeah, you hit it right there. You hit it verbally.
Results-based analysis. That's been running NA for like 10+ years, you know.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to see Erha and Weibo Gaming against Anyone's Legends tomorrow, but let's get into our first best of 5 of the upper semis today in Top Esports going up against BLG. And if you're hearing this and getting yourself some deja vu, not super surprising, because these two teams could have played against each other a lot in the playoffs in splits past. It's kind of gone back and forth, especially since two big mid laners joined on each side, Cream for Top Esports and Knight for BLG at the start of 2024.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see that once Cream and Knight joined, it being a little bit more Knight favored, as Knight has been the one that has really been running all of LPL, and frankly, these playoffs, he's trying to return to that domestic streak of 4 titles in a row. It was a disappointment to not make the finals in the Split 1 playoffs, as Cream had a hell of a run himself. And I was going through the list of mids that he beat in Split 1. I mean, when you take down Doinby, Xiaohu, Scout, Knight on your way to make it to a final and win, that's a really impressive run. So I know that Top Esports isn't exactly the fan favorite team, given the bummer of the last international event. I'm still seeing that sometimes, you know, Hoya points and votes, it's being held against them still, but definitely something we're looking for when it comes to Top Esports, to try and level up, and to see if the fan favorites in terms of international representation, frankly, BLG can really beat them today, as they did it in Week 8. This is the replays that you're seeing here, as this game, man, 2 games where it was fast and furious, and we might be seeing a lot of that tonight, Grapes.
Yeah, Top Esports, this is the last regular season series that they played, and they weren't super happy about the results, I'm sure, as this was a very dominant 2-0 win for Billy Gaming, as they ended up, I think, 8-1 in their second round robin, with Beishuan inserted to the team after replacing Wei halfway through with a split. Some really solid team fights and just team play overall from BLG in the early stages, especially like sending Bin down here on this Orin in game number 2, getting themselves that early ace. Again, kind of a lot of what we are expecting to see once we get into the nitty-gritty of this full fearless best of 5. But let's start things off by talking about Top Esports, because despite how hot BLG have been in the second half, these are still the teams that we are expecting to be the favorite here in TES, because of just the regular season performance and the expectations that, you know, they set for us by going through that full bracket in split number 1.
At best record at the end of the regular season, as these guys, I mean, it was Kanavi, the MVP for the LPL. I know that Grapes, in terms of our own awards, I voted for Knight. So, you know, more chances for confirmation bias up here. But it feels like Top Esports have kind of slowed down at the back half of the split. I don't think that Jackie has been playing quite as well as he was for the rest of it, along with Chris. So, gonna have to see if they can step up today, because I feel like part of the resurgence of BLG, and Beishuan's been a lot of the focus, same with Bin. But the bot lane for BLG has been much better in Elk and On for the back half of the split as well.
Yeah, Top Esports, it's one of those situations where despite their 15-3 best of 3 record, the game score was actually more comparable to teams like BLG and AL, because Top Esports would drop a lot of games, especially towards the first half of the season, or the start, just randomly, like, you know, dropping a game here or there, having to play out to that full 3-game set. And so we have seen some inconsistencies from this team here or there. And when we take a look at what the keys are for for Top Esports to succeed, a lot of it, as you mentioned earlier, as we were going through those clips, starts in the early game.
Yeah, this is the best early game team that we have in the LPL. I should say that's BLG. Top is 4th in terms of rankings when it comes to just split 2. So all the double robin and best of 3s. But it really feels like this team, they're at their best when we get pushing lanes. We can just play 2 and 4 Kanavi.
Yeah, I mean, you see right here, 856 goal difference at 15. Even though they, dropped some games here and there, Top Esports still very dominant when it comes to the early game, getting Kanavi onto that Nefiri as a really powerful pick, especially towards the front half of the season. And yeah, we'll see if the mid game and the side laning can help out for them, as well as we do also, I believe, have an interview from Kanavi from one of their earlier series, I think, in the JDG arena. So we're gonna have a look and take a look at what Kanavi had to say there.
是我最熟悉的地方嘛，我23年跟24年一直在这儿打比赛，然后一直见面到粉丝们。今天看着赛场，看粉丝们非常开心吧，然后粉丝们热情还是挺满意吧。
满意吗，大家？
我去已经其实看 SK 的比赛的里面，就是很多这种没位的打野就闪现把龙坑进去，然后变奏情况很多，所以今天刚好就有强势了嘛，然后成功了就挺好吧。
其实那一波。
So we had that situation of flashing over the Dragon Pit level 3 against the mobile bot lane to try to get ahead.
Our friend has been maybe looking at some old Peanut VODs. As I haven't been fully kept up with LCK, just with how ballistic LPL is as a split, but that's an old Peanut special. We definitely saw that here from Kanavi, a couple moments where, yeah, we did see him actually flash over the wall and try and make a play. This is from the regular season. And also, there was one in Game 3 in their series. We're playing as the Pop. He was able to flash over the wall and make stuff happen. So I like this. There's some jungle matchups where this is really good if you are able to fight when you're strong early on. I do like the fact that Top Esports actually going for stuff like this with Kanavi.
And it was, this series against JDG here where, back in his home arena where he was playing for so long and always trying to innovate seemingly here. Is Kanavi going for creative plays all the time? Invade here onto the blue buff, and this was against FPX in that playoff series that Top Esports ended up winning this game because of the early game of Kanavi.
I like the play. I know that the Gragas into the Gwen was kind of an old neutralizing matchup that LCK also played a lot of, and so after he takes those 2 camps, was actually able to go top and impact that matchup. Stabilize things a lot for 369. As the Gragas does get help, there is a capability to win that one. He didn't win, but he was good enough, and of course, 369 on his Gragas, it's always usually more 9s than 3s if you're going to get 369 Gragas coming out onto the Rift.
Yeah, and for Top Esports, again, Kanavi having that impact in the early game is going to be important, but I think the whole team has to really lock in these first 10 to 15 minutes, especially against a team like BLG, because as we see, as we're going to see, I think in a graphic here in just a second, it's all about the early game, baby, and these are some of the picks that we're expecting to be really important in that, especially that flash icon with Kanavi over it, like we just saw in some of those highlights.
Yeah, I mean, Nefiri is a big one. That's going to be only Kanavi, who's undefeated on the pick this split, but has not been played by Beishwan since he joined BLG. I think both teams have more of a propensity to play Renekton than most teams we've had this split in the LPL, just because of how important early game is for them to function. So again, a lot of early game strength coming out from both these teams, and frankly, it could just be an arms race, because that comfort zone for Top Esports is really playing early game and pushing, and then you've even seen BLG with Elk, like busting out the Thality Callisto when appropriate. That was a pick that was really successful for them when they went on that MSI win and that run. So I think we have had a return to some comfort, but also some teams just putting the pieces together, playing cleaner, and able to play early game comps from minute 0 to start to finish and find wins has been good.
Well, let's take a look at that BLG roster because, they disappointed a little bit in the back half of split number 1 and then going into the start of split 2. But ever since Beishwan has come in and joined this roster, Cubby, BLG look like the hottest team in the LPL.
it's a bit of a honeymoon phase, potentially. I do think that Beishuan's been decent, and frankly, this is the biggest series that Beishuan has ever played in his life. As a win here would be guarantee the highest finish that he's ever had in the LPL, and just the fact that he's going up against the Split MVP in Kanavi, where the stakes are high, international tournaments are on the line. We've seen Beishuan be decent in previous teams, you know, kind of lower tier LPL teams. I think Thunder Talk, that run they had in Split 1, where they actually managed to be a top 4 team, even with that early drop out of playoffs, was really dictated by the understanding of role swaps and how well Beishuan was playing as the leader of the squad. But again, going up against Kanavi, that's a different beast, and I think this is the biggest series that he's ever played in. So definitely excited to see what happens with him, as we're going to have our players taking the stage. Of course, that top lane matchup, also a banger grapes between 369 and Bin.
And you might have noticed when we were looking at the rosters that the names at the top have different colors than their logos, and that is because we were indicating the sides that they were going to be starting on for game number 1. Top Esports being the higher seed, getting that side select, picking that all-important blue side.
Blue?
The 1v1s
in LPL?
Until game number 5 to actually have that impact here, Cubby. So, yeah, I know. Big surprise, right? That Top Esports took blue side, or that any team in the LPL took blue side.
I can't believe that they took blue side, you know? It just never happens. You have Weibo, a team that looks like they can only draft on blue side from yesterday.
Yeah.
They steal one of Kelsey's points there. But, of course, as we're taking the stage, everyone, Crisp has a bit of a flow going here, I gotta say.
Always does.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Do you like the cotton candy BLG jerseys, by the way?
I'm actually a fan. I know it could be a little controversial sometimes, but especially the ones where like the pink flows into the baby blue, like I feel like that's actually a really fun combo. So I'm in favor personally.
Favor. All right. Well, good to go. I really like the traditional like white varsity jackets that they have. LPL has got some clean jackets, but I appreciate we're playing around with some of the colors as well.
Well, there we go. Top Esports up against BLG. We'll be coming to you in just a few short minutes' time with that draft of game number 1. But as we see these two players on the screen, I'm going to ask production if we could pull up our top lane head-to-head graphic just for a second to talk about those two players a little bit more in 369 and Bin. 369 been the most consistent top laner, one of the more consistent players throughout the entirety of this split too, whereas Bin has been a little bit up and down, but really has come to life as of late.
Yeah, shout out to Yorick with the come to life, because that has been a massive pick for Bin. Definitely curious to see where that falls in the series, because it's one that Top Esports 369 haven't really played a lot of or prioritized. And meanwhile, BLG is like, yeah, first pick Yorick, it's fine. Bin's going to make sure that things are okay, as Bin has been really resurging with Beishuan. And it was a bit of a bummer, because early on in the split, we just didn't see Bin being able to get the same leads out of lane, which is where, traditionally that's where Bin's really excelled. Also still getting caught inside lanes a little bit. That's always been a part of Bin's game. But the impact wasn't there. It feels like Bin has kind of returned to being that beast. But 3x9, I think rightfully so, was pretty much de facto first team All-Pro for LPL. I know that was the official ballot. I'm sure that was our votes here with the unofficial English broadcast as well. And we'll see if he can do his job of neutralizing it and beating Bin when Top Esports is going to need him most.
It's going to be a big task for 369 to handle this super hot BLG team. Bin had a pretty good showing in their last series as well, and especially in that first round of the playoffs against Invictus Gaming. I think Bin really stepped up there against the Shy, so now even a higher task for him in terms of the best consistent performer in the LPL for Split 2 of 2025. Again, waiting for the players to ready up for this first game draft. The Top Esports is going to be on that blue side. BLG in their cotton candy jerseys with the jackets as well that I really like, by the way.
Yeah, I know, the jackets are new. I think we got some playoff drip here for BLG, you know?
Well, let's get to it. Again, winner locking in upper bracket finals and giving themselves just one more best of 5 to win for securing a spot at both MSI and the EWC. Let's do it here for game number 1 as the draft has already begun.
Okay, diving on in. Nico taken away from On. I expect that to continue for the rest of the series. On is, I believe, 10-0, or 8-0, I should say, on the pick. I expect that to be denied for the entirety of it. What teams have started to figure out with draft is that you can actually change up your bans as time goes on, which I really like. What I'm not a giant fan of is this first pick Pantheon. Okay, yeah, I think we're just going to get a rumble here for 369. Has been a big pick for him. Oh, okay, it is first pick Pantheon. There's a lot of ways to counter Pantheon and beat it. I'm expecting that we might see Knight take away Talia, as that has been his most played, and it would deny the combo.
And you can pair that alongside something like the Xin Zhao and still be perfectly fine if you are BLG. The benefit of being blue side, here in game number 1, is the fact that you do have all these power picks, and so seeing BLG get Rumble Talia on this 1-2 rotation because you decided to be one of this Pantheon, to me it kind of takes away from a lot of what blue side is good for, because it feels like these two champions that BLG picked up for their solo lanes are arguably stronger in the meta than what Top Esports currently have.
Jace would be a big one, though. It's a champ that Bin has not played, so I know that's a little bit of a surprise, as Jace was quite good in Split 1, but we really just haven't seen it from him in Split 2. It has been a really good pick for 369, and looks like some tankiness in the mid lane for Kareem, as his Silas is always good. And hey, we got to talk about Fearless. Good deny away from Knight, as it actually ends up being the Rise, which is a really big pick for Kareem as well. Rise, of course, saw some buffs on this patch, and Kareem, his Rise is 9-1 throughout Split 2.
And I already am going back to that keys to the game graphic that we talked about for Top Esports, and the importance of side laning in the mid game, and that is exactly what Top Esports have set themselves up for here in the first 3 picks of this draft. Having Jace and Rise being able to get that priority, shove those waves out, and be impactful on the side lane is going to be very, very good for what TES like to do overall, and what typically is a part of their formula for victory. There's the Vi that you were talking about for Knight. It's going to be paired alongside the Talia in the mid jungle. A lot of long range engaged for BLG as we enter the second phase of bans.
Yeah, they don't want to play the Xayah themselves. Not very good against the Rune Prisons. They're going to take that one away. I like that ban for BLG. As gotta say, Top Esports, really tanky core they have at the moment between the Jace and the Rise. I like the fact that Grapes are highlighting the solo lane dominance and side laning potential that Top Esports has. Play fast with Pantheon, always nice. I think that BLG, I'm curious what ends up happening. What we started to see with bot lanes quite a bit is that there are just some power pick supports that you can take, like Alistar, and you can actually end up saving counter pick for AD. I'm wondering if that ends up being the call here.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to see the bot lanes kind of being pushed towards the back half of this draft for both sides, as it seems to be a lot of safe AD carries that BLG want to get away from JackeyLove. This Misfortune has been one of his highly prioritized picks throughout the split, and it's something that, you know, doesn't necessarily have a lot of agency, and we haven't necessarily seen a ton of it from JackeyLove so far this split. I'm still looking at things like the Ezreal that he's played pretty well on this year as being options, and also providing some safety against the point-and-click crowd control of this Vi from Bayshore.
Yeah, I think that Ezreal would be actually a really reasonable takeaway. Something I was noticing when looking at some of the champ pools. JackeyLove, a ton of success on the Ezreal and the Varus. But after that, with some of the other champions that he's found, I don't think he's been as dominant of a player as JackeyLove. I think is still a very, very good player, but again, has not had the best split we've seen out of what we're used to seeing from JackeyLove, even with his team being at #1 seed. So I like this deny. Elks Ezreal is also fantastic. That's been a really big pick for JackeyLove, but I believe it's time to be a superhero, Grapes. Kai'Sa made it through the pick ban phase, and I mean, we can see what ADs can do on this champion, especially in the LPL. At times, it just feels like a cheat code, being able to play Kai'Sa in team fights. We'll see if it ends up being big for JackeyLove. And Crisp in the bot lane, as that Alistar is going to be locked in.
Giving JackeyLove that go button with that killer instinct is going to be very exciting, especially with the flank potential and the collapsibility of Top Esports composition, both with Kanavi in the Grand Starfall, as well as potential flank angles set up by the side laning power of 369 and Kareem. We're waiting for that last pick to be locked in here for Billy Gaming, as what does On have to play into Crisp's Alistar? It's going to be the Braum. Provides a little bit of safety and protection from a lot of the long-range artillery that Top Esports also possess.
Yeah, I was maybe thinking we'd actually get Leona there, as I know Braum, like having Vi as solo main engage is hard. And for me, the first pick, Pantheon, Kanavi's going to be okay this game. I think my beef with Pantheon has been you have to be able to win the front line. The fact that he has an Alistar or Jace, it's going to be tanky enough where Pantheon can go in and function. I think it can be tough to play against Talia Braum, but we should be able to see Kanavi actually play out that early game well. I think that big thing for me, the pushing lanes for Top Esports, it's got to be 369 in that top lane, because we talked about the full court press. It really doesn't feel like they have that right now. The Ezreal Braum should be able to get priority at least very early on. And then you have Talia into Ryze, where Talia, again, should be able to get priority really early on. So I'm curious to see if Kanavi, who does have a winning jungle matchup early, can break that. And for me, looking at top lane, if you set Rumble behind, that lane can get really volatile and positive for Jace. So specifically attack bin game 1.
A lot on the line here. Winner claiming that upper final as the game 1 draft has been set. Before we get into game, let's take a look at our predictions across the board here on LPL English for where we think this series is going. Maybe one of our most one-sided or our most closely contested matchup in terms of those predictions as well, Cubby, is I think both of us favor BLG in this series, but a lot of our community members still believe in that #1 seed in top esports.
I'm BLG 3-1. I do think this draft is decent for top esports. Their ability to play side lane with a Pantheon Ryze is going to be a lot. So let's see if BLG can use their early game to get a lead early and try and push things from there.
There's our predictions real quick here as, yeah, again, kind of a little bit back and forth. It seems like everybody who picked top esports more on that 3-2 side, as I think we're about to load in on to the Rift for this game #1 of our upper bracket semifinals. Top esports BLG, let's do it.
I'm sure the Giants were powerful.
I think we might have missed them. Yeah,
I'm sure they were powerful. That's all right. That's all right, Crepes. We're going to have to see how much more powerful they can get throughout the series. Is taking inventory. Looks like we did have Ezreal Braum, of course, level 1. Quite nice if you are on, and BLG with his Braum. So, going to use it to get a priority ward down and actually clear out a defensive ward for Kanavi. As On going to be rocking the spellbook this game as well. Got some changes on 15-11. Definitely important to note, as of course Cream also got some changes. W damage down, but that overload Q damage up a bit. Definitely upping some of Ryze's early power.
Yeah, I know I've been following Strompus, who's a North American Ryze main here on X or Twitter.
He thinks Ryze is very imba.
He thinks it's very, very powerful with the amount of pushing power that it has in the early game. Trying to kind of take it away from one of the better, taking away one of the weaknesses that Ryze has, right? Which is not being able to do too much, pre-level 11 or something like that. So Cream, who already is very successful on this Ryze, as we're seeing here in that lower third, going to be a little bit of a harder player to move, especially in terms of that wave clear in the early game, which is where is going to want to try to find that advantage for himself.
You can see Beishwan, that's 1-0 with BLG. Hasn't played a ton of the Vi. He's actually been much more going for the Xin, for the Skarner. I know it is a big champion for Kanavi. I believe it's his most played, but the win rate's not super impressive. So I was thinking there might be a world where wait, are we going to flash? Okay. The camera panned there, and I was like, are we flashing over a wall? No, but we might be dodging out on a ward that was spotted to look mid and look in. His bot lane has been really doing their best to push heavily, and Kanavi at level 3 is going to be the stronger jungler right now. So I think him finding Beishwan could be quite nice.
And we're already seeing Cream get some push here. There's the power of that early game Ryze now on this new patch. And Kanavi jumps over the wall with the Blast Cone and will steal away that Raptor, or that Wolf camp. But now could be collapsed upon here as the bot lane of BLG is going to be here first. Kanavi is in some trouble right now. He's able to flash towards Cream, and Cream's going to go forward with the Rune Prison of his own. The Comet Spear from downtown will secure first blood for TES.
Knight being level 2 made a difference in Kanavi able to get help from Cream, flashes, and that secures a kill. As a bit of a oopsie here for BLG. I don't think that Beishwan was respectful of what could have went down there. Was not able to flash out or kind of get the flash and buffer the Rune Prison. Even if that was the case, I think a Pantheon Q could have gotten the kill, but unfortunately have it really paused. Just kind of killing some of the hype and the action. Is I gotta say, I kind of misread some of these early lanes. The fact that Cream was able to get pushed like that on Knight and actually support the invade was a little bit surprising for me. It ended up being really impactful.
I mean, yeah, I knew that the Ryze power got, the Ryze wave clear got buffed a little bit, but I was not expecting that level of efficiency in the first 3 levels there for Cream, as he was able to both chunk out Knight on his Talia and then get there first to the play, which meant that Kanavi actually had an angle and had an area of escape instead of just being collapsed upon by 4 members of BLG.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, I know we got some time to kill. Maybe we might be able to pull up a clip of that one on our own, as that would be something interesting to talk about. I gotta say, the Between that and then the Kai'Sa Alistar getting to the wave first was also a really big deal because JackeyLove was actually able to get some push there. So they were able to somewhat support what was going on in terms of that invade. And again, having that... Oh, yeah, let's go. It looks like we're back to live. Back in game. That was quick. Fortunately, out of the pause, Grapes, and back into the action.
Yeah, they didn't do like the typical transition. So I thought we were maybe going to a replay of our own or something there. But no, we are here back here into this game with a slight advantage for Top Esports and for Kanavi, who, again, forcing the initiative off of that early invade into the bottom side jungle of Billy Gaming. Still a lot more to play, though, as it is actually been getting the early push here in this top side of the map. Let's see if Kanavi does have another target to go for there.
Again, Beishuan going to have to be relegated to the deprioed crab. And this is the matchup top where I think Kanavi can really flip. Again, Pantheon plus Jace into Rumble, your ability to try and overwhelm that pick. And then if Rumble does get behind, your ability to attack it in the side lane, something their comp does really well. It's very real. As Beishuan actually going to get a nice pickup here with the respawn Raptor camp. That's really, really good. The fact he's able to pick this up, even despite going down. A little bit surprised. You're going to see Kanavi actually looks like he found the answer too. But the fact that he was even able to handshake, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Kanavi was
it's
spotted
not up
on
yet.
vision
Yeah.
on the top side jungle, which meant
That's
that
great.
Beishuan knew exactly that where he was, and that he could just go for that second camp steal. And yeah, as you mentioned, because Beishuan started at the Krugs first, actually it was a little bit desynced on the timer, which meant he's able to actually get that camp advantage right back.
Didn't take the Raptors first, right? Went the Red Krugs Raps, so the fact that those were desynced, it actually gets both. Again, that's really nice for Beishuan, who did go down early, but hey, he's got his flash, and after his next base will be somewhat on par. I think what it really hurts overall, though, is a potential Dragon timer. Whenever you have Vi, Denting Blow is so good at taking that early Drake. Right now, we are seeing Elk based first. So I'm curious, you know, usually you want to be on that Drake around 5:30. At the moment, we have JackeyLove basing, and if it is an appearance at the Dragon, and Beishuan's going to be under leveled and under items, as On's a little far up here.
Yeah, trying to hold that wave before crashing under the turret, but actually going to just force the flash out of the Braum. Nicely done by Crisp and Kanavi to set up a play, as that did take away their potential Dragon timer with Beishuan now into that bottom side jungle once again, but it could be a dive. In effect, is on again, doesn't have a flash, gonna get jumped on here by Kanavi.
Cream's here.
And here comes the knockup again. Crisp gonna take the entirety of that turret. Aggro first Unbreakable doing so much. And allowing for Elk to pick himself up a double kill. And Kanavi's trapped underneath the tier 1 turret. Not gonna find the Ezreal. It's a tower shot will take him down. Not a good play from Top Esports there as BLG finds 3 kills.
That's a terrible play. They lost their damn mind, Grapes. What are they doing with the dive? They didn't drop the aggro. So when Chris went back in, I'm okay if he's going in the like pretty much sell himself to make the play, but the aggro didn't drop. It didn't reset on the minions, so it was fully heated up. Cream got gunned down with 2 turret shots. And that lead for Top Esports, we're talking about jungle itemization, taking an early Dragon. They throw it all to the wayside with a bad dive. And Kanavi going for the trade here. He takes 2 tower shots. Those aren't necessary. Chris needs to let that hit the creeps like twice. You can't go once because look at Cream. He gets absolutely melted down. Yeah, they want to hold the play off quickly because BLG was coming to rotate, but that was way too fast. Top Esports lose their minds a little bit here and give BLG a huge way back into the game, like cleaning up those kills, getting the Dragon, and actually being set up all right.
And I'm going to say it. I'm going to be controversial here. I don't think burning Braum Flash is the go button for going for that dive when Elk didn't have to burn a single summoner spell off of that play either.
Ooh.
And
Bin,
also,
I thought Bin could have R'd there and actually might have been able to turn that one.
he already had the flash away. I don't know how much gap closing he would have had. And also, just with the plated steel caps, would have not had a ton of damage, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe not. Could have been close, but man, that is a huge win for BLG. They even got the first thing of feats. They got the first objective, and again, if that goes differently, that Dragon would have been in the hands of Top Esports, but they didn't have JackeyLove base either before they went for that play. I think the way they played it out, they botched it in the first place, but man, what a tough start for Top Esports after a really positive first blood from Kanavi onto Beishuan with the help of his friends. That's not the full court press we're used to seeing, as they kind of fumbled it in the backcourt there.
It was an 8-second violation, yeah.
They turned it over
Top
the backcourt.
Esports.
Yeah.
They spent way too long going for that play. And again, Elk didn't even have to burn a summoner spell to now pick up 2 kills for himself. And now head over to the mid lane as Weaver's Wall is coming out from Knight. Target could be Crisp, who does not have the flash. However, they're actually buying a lot of time for Kanavi to arrive. Crisp will be taken down as Elk goes on a killing spree here early in game number 1. And there's nothing Kanavi can do about it.
That's the other thing. We didn't even talk about where that gold went. It went into the pockets of Elk as they make the play mid. Take down the Alistar for free before he hits 6. Cream getting a little bit on the side lane, but I think BLG is okay with that, given the fact they're picking up the neutral objective in the Grubs.
So what was such a good early game for Top Esports suddenly flipped on its head as BLG not only had that slight gold lead and all the gold, by the way, on their big carry of Elk's Ezreal, as going to be the Grand Starfall coming in to at least make it a 2-for-1 in the Grub department. But BLG still have that neutral objective advantage as well, including that first dragon that they were able to claim for themselves off of that unfortunate dive.
Yeah, of course, new Split too, or a Spirit Blossom map. The 2-to-1 does count towards objective when it comes to the feats. So we've seen those boots be a little bit more powerful this time around. And man, I gotta say, when you're playing Kai'Sa into Ezreal, like this matchup in particular, it's so difficult when the Ezreal gets ahead like this because the poke that you're going to be able to connect with, and your support's an Alistar, right? I mean, Alistar, I think, is the best support that we have right now in terms of engaging, but you're not getting through an Ezreal Braum, right? Like, you're playing this Alistar for pretty much the rest of the fight. Any poke that connects on the Jaculov is going to stick, and that poke is going to hurt all that much worse, given that Elk is not just ahead in items, but also is going to be ahead in levels, too, which can really hurt when you're going up against an Ezreal. So, not able to complete the Triforce will be a first item for Jaculov, but Jaculov has to be careful here, because there's a real chance he can get peppered down as interesting swap coming out from BLG. They're going to put Knight back mid. Maybe you're going to look for another play with that Weaver's Wall once he has it available.
And for Top Esports side, we're already seeing the Soul Laners set themselves up in these side laning situations, and allowing for Cream to farm up nicely on the top side of things, where 369 gonna still actually maintain a bit of a lead for himself in terms of just pure CS.
Jackie
Beishwan gonna immediately find Jaculov here in the Top Esports jungle, but the reinforcements were there. Beishwan knows he cannot send the ulti with not the full play being set up here for BLG.
At least able to get some scouting down as he sees that Kanavi also going top to bot still. As I will say, item advantage right now, I do think that Beishwan needs to reset before they can actually make a play, as it's a Sundered Sky being completed for Kanavi. And yeah, there's Beishwan getting his as well. So now that that's evened up and we have Weaver's Wall coming off cooldown, need to see BLG make a play. They do have level 6 in tow, and I think this part of the game for BLG really important that they are explosive, given that the chance for Vitaly to one-shot people before those tankier items come in for Top Esports, and just the strength they have before really these side lanes can get rolling for top with the items that will come in.
So yeah, I mean, our explosive early game certainly has delivered so far. Objectives have been traded back and forth. We've seen some dives, some nice plays here set up so far by Knight and BLG, as the mid jungle is going to be continuously important here. Looks like they could be looking for a play on the 369 or Kanavi as he spotted a ward. Does not have that knockup from the ball breaker connect though. Kanavi gonna get hit up here by that seismic shove, but Knight's not gonna be able to do any damage on him with the Aegis being popped.
I think it's enough though, just with the positioning they have in the waves, where they're gonna hit this and melt it. As okay, TP coming in. This Dragon's gonna go over, but you gotta believe there's a fight coming in after.
It's a little too late for Kanavi to be jumping in. Chris gonna try to find the engage, but it's matched by the arcane shift from Elk. And in goes Cream, but he might have sent 369 to his doom with the Realm Warp, as it's 5 members strong for Top Esports. Gonna be able to knock in Beishwan and take him down. And a 2-man Pulverize does come through from Chris with the Unbreakable Will on top of him. But now Bin is here. The Equalizer separating the fight, and Jaculov able to get a kill onto Elk, and Kanavi flashes under the tower to get a kill onto On. So far a 2-for-1 in favor of Top Esports. Knight forced to flash away, and Bin running for the hills as well. Top Esports get the fight, but the dragon goes to Billy.
Yeah, a weird fight here. BLG, they do pick up the feats, but Top Esports were able to go in. Bin was late to the fight, and that Equalizer didn't connect with any big CC. And frankly, with the items that they had there, like for the fight, we did see Kanavi get a lot of work down as Beishwan way overplayed his hand. Hold on, we're hunting?
We know that he's in the bush. Are we going to spot out Knight? Oh, Weaver's Wall comes out. It gets canceled, though, and the Comet Spear takes him down. Kanavi with kill number 4 in this game, as all of a sudden Top Esports right back in the driver's seat.
That's a massive win for Kanavi, as that's a Weaver's Wall cooldown down as well. As take another look. I thought that the engage was whiffed here by Top, and BLG could have walked out, but this Realm Warp guarantees there has to be a play. I'm really surprised that they took this, like, on and Beishwan going forward. Get out. You could have Bin play a side lane for free. Even just giving away Beishwan's okay, but with Realm Warp and Grant Starfall being used, I don't think you have to take a fight from there. Even like Chris Flash to find the first engage. It's a decent timer for BLG to take the fight, but with Beishwan and Bin being split up on top of, Bin being late, he couldn't layer the equalizer with the Braum ult. He couldn't layer it with a Talia setup, couldn't layer it with a cease and assist, and when that ult kind of goes wide, a lot of the power goes flat. So I feel like BLG really misexecuted that by just taking the fight. If they accept the fact the Top is there first and back off, they could have played the map really well from there on out, even just dropping 1.
Yeah, I mean, BLG already very happy with what they got off of that play because
Exactly.
they got the second dragon. That's exactly what their goal was, of pushing Kanavi out of the jungle in the first place. But it just was the fight that ensued that now results in Top Esports having themselves about a 1,500 gold lead. Results in Kanavi being 4-1-2. And also Jackie Love able to pick up a kill on the back end of things here, evening himself up in gold with Elk, who got such an early lead.
And I was really surprised by a couple of the plays that we've been taking as both of these teams. But again, talk about explosive early games, explosive teams. Both teams trying to really push the pace. As I will say, this Jace in the side lane has very quietly been really big, or getting really big. And with Kanavi on this Pantheon too, again, I'm really concerned for Bin moving forward. I think that if I'm Top Esports, wherever Bin is, that's the giant blinking red light to go attack that Rumble. And try and really change or flip that matchup on the side lane.
Right now, he's situated on the top side of things. The Rift Herald has spawned. Looks like Beishwan has vision onto Chris. So going to try to collapse upon him with the Ball Breaker. But knowing that all of Top Esports is there, looks like instead he's going to dash on out and wait for the fight to begin in earnest. The Glacial Fissure lands onto 2, but there's no further engage from that. That's a big cooldown now off of BLG as Top Esports make their way towards the Herald.
That's a big combo with Equalizer that's not available now for BLG. Do you think that's significant? As On gonna have to hop out of there, but if BLG kind of keeps this formation and keeps the fast path to mid, you can see 369 can't really join. He's pretty strong, but he's okay. That's a decent shock blast. No, E was burned, but Elk can poke. So it's his poke versus 369's, and right now Elk's winning.
Oh,
as Chris, he's forced all the way out, and that just might be the Herald dropped. As Chris is going to have to reset, and yeah, it looks like Top Esports returning to some of these waves.
Oh, and look at On trying to cancel some of the bases as well. Making sure that Top Esports don't have the opportunity to reset. Also, don't want to go for the fight either. The Weaver's Wall going to block him in. Actually send Crispin into the pit. Kanavi not going to be able to get over there. So it is Beishwan securing himself the Rift Herald. Dream doing some damage into the front line. Locket already popped by On. Here goes the Ball Breaker forward. Jackie Love has been collapsed upon. The Realm Warp's going to send Crispin into the Pulverize. Doesn't find a single target. Now Bin on the back line. Going to be collapsed upon by Cream. He has a lot more HP and a lot more work to deal with. But on the other side of the fight, it's BLG winning out. And Bin's going to yeet himself out with the teleport and say, CY at sign, baby. Beishwan forcing his way underneath the tier 1 turret. Kanavi at 200 health. And Top Esports mid jungle in a severe amount of trouble here.
Oh my god, Chad, Gigabin is back in a way that I wasn't expecting. The TP out. What was that? Cream's going down too as the TP coming in. That's not going to save Cream in time. BLG, they find the objective in the fight win off of a really hectic fight from Top Esports where Elk was able to just be the Ezreal in the back line, unpressured, undeterred, and peppered down Top.
Oh boy, if this is the kind of game we're going to get here in our upper semifinals, y'all better lock in because it's been back and forth and back and forth. Top Esports win a fight, BLG win a fight right back, and this was a pure display from Billy, and it starts with that Weaver's Wall from Knight.
Yeah, that was really nice. It got him split. Kanavi going in a little bit early. Jackuel was pushed out by Beishwan, who ended up having a really nice fight, actually. And then Bin just 1v3, able to zone out the rest of Top Esports. And then I was like, is that a spectator bug? What's going on? No, he hit the yeet button. He's out of there, man. Get me back to the turret. Bin was calculated. As now that soul point secured as we get off that, too. And we talked about these early games armor race grapes. And in this game, it really felt like, with the Kai'Sa, the Ryze, the Jace, there was a little bit more scaling. in Top Esports comp that Pantheon had to bridge. With that botched dive from Top Esports on the bot lane, BLG, it feels like they had more strength early on. Man, they've really used it to stack up these dragons. I don't think Ocean Soul is the best role for them to try and snowball this game forward, but hey, the Soul sure as hell helps.
And getting more gold onto Elk going to be more and more important too. Nearing that full Muramana as well as the Trinity Force. I mean, we've already seen the amount of poke damage he was able to do onto Crisp to start that fight before the Rift Herald was initially aggroed. And now we're going to see maybe some more power from Elk as everybody collapsing upon JackieLove and taking the Kai'Sa down in the mid lane.
I got to say, I know that we kind of put up spotlight on JackieLove as a player that, I mean, one of the best ADs that LPL has to offer, but hasn't been the form that we're used to seeing from JackieLove. That last fight, he burned both the Summoner spells for really nothing. So seeing him get locked up there by a good Vitalia play from Beishwan and Knight, well played by BLG, but that play pretty easy to make when JackieLove is down flash, down cleanse. And Top Esports not able to peel for him as the numbers at the moment in BLG's favor, and they use it well in the mid lane.
And Panthelia is always the combo that we shout out here on the LPL, and we see the teams really highly prioritize. You can lock somebody down with a stun, follow that up with a seismic shove.
You know why, though,
You can do that with Vi, though, as well, and we saw that from Beishwan.
Yeah, exactly. It used to be Vitalia, but then Vi was just permabanned in the league, so, you know, it's fine. We just use the Pantheon now.
And, you know, the cooldown might be a little bit longer on the cease and desist compared to just the jump forward here for Kanavi, but the value all the same, as we saw JackieLove get melted before he could do anything about it. Now BLG, they took the top lane tier 1, and it looks like they're going to try to continue the play here as Top Esports go forward with the Grand Starfall from Kanavi, and it results in 369 picking up a big shutdown.
Beishwan, he ditched the teammate. That was the right call. Good play in the side lane from Kanavi as Kanavi continues to have a pretty solid game here. Going into Beishwan again. Mid-jungle matchup Grapes, definitely one that we have a close eye on in this game, just given that this is the biggest series that Beishwan's ever played in. A win here guarantees his best finish ever in the LPL. And he's going up against the MVP in Kanavi. But of course, on the flip side, Knight's been a bit of a father of every mid laner in the LPL, and Cream has not been able to escape that except for Split 1 playoffs. So Knight has been on fire and was our MVP vote when it came to our voting for the LPL English. So definitely kind of a fun matchup, just given that we have the two MVPs going up against each other. Then Cream at this point, old enough where it's not like we're trying to see him grow into his role. And Cream, frankly, good enough on this rise. Again, this pick 9-1 for him in the regular season. Been a big one, and Cream has done his best to try and stuff up in this one, and could really be a pain later on. I got to pause for a moment, Grapes. I know that we have our favorite AI in the bottom, but it's a Rylai's for Knight second on Talia. I know that they took 10 AP off Leandri's, but we've been seeing the Rylai's be built on Azir, which I quite like. I haven't seen it yet on the Talia, as this is a little bit different, a little bit awkward, because you already have two slows built in your kit with the Q on workaround and the E, but now it's just going to be throwing it out perma. It could really help buy space, though, for Ezreal and help set up the Rumble. It's got to be the idea here.
Yeah, I think just making sure on the initial threaded volleys before the upgrade ones on the workaround, like being able to buy some more space, some more slowing power.
If you catch Kai'Sa with that, right? Like, how big of a pain is that?
And by the way, Knight are personal MVP ballot winners. If you want the full LPL English reveal, you got to wait until we unveil that a little bit later on in the playoff bracket. So stay tuned here to twitch.tv/LPL English for that, as BLG generating control in the mid lane right now. Weaver's Wall coming out from Knight to block away Chris and the rest of his team. But it doesn't look like the dive is what they want. They instead just want some chip damage on this tower. However, the Weaver's Wall not finding too much value there, as Kanavi was working on a flank.
Yeah, I think Top's going to be relegated to playing through bot here, as we do see True Shot Barrage burn on the wave. Of course, Top have to fight this. This is Ocean Soul on the table for BLG. And at the moment, mid-wave control going over to the Ezreal. And no surprise here. But how Top can play into this is going to be a little bit tricky.
And you see Ezreal super strong right now with those two completed items. He's headed back to base, maybe even get stronger before the dragon spawns. But you already saw the poke damage he's able to issue onto somebody like JackieLove. And that could be a big play, as with Elk going back to base, Top Esports feel like they want to go for a fight. Just a couple of ultimates being burned on both sides from the supports of all people. And now it's going to be Crisp going for a reset, potentially with the dragon starting up very shortly. And BLG know that now they have the play. They have the opportunity to go for something now in a 4v5.
That's a big ult to get off the Alistar. I don't think they needed to burn Bramall to get that. Of course, Bramall went wide too, as BLG now they're the ones that played through bot. They give up mid control with Elk having the late base. And we're going to have to see. They're going to pull this one fast. No one's behind them yet.
Again, it's the soul picked up for BLG if they can secure this dragon, but Kanavi wants to make sure that does not happen. The Grand Starfall already being issued, but the seismic shove does connect onto Cream, who's already half HP. There's a cease and desist. It's on a Jackie but Killer Instincts away. The soul secured for Billy Gaming, but can they win the fight? It looks like they will. Off of Knight's seismic shove, finding two more members. Cream's the last remaining survivor. It is a 5-0 ace as Billy Gaming grasp control of game number 1.
What a mess of a team fight from BLG. Both junglers weren't even in the pit to smite down the soul, but Beishwan was playing for the fight, and he played it damn well, as Knight in the back half was the shining light for BLG. That's an Ocean Soul secured, an Otacon secured, and surely a game 1 that is too big to break if you're top esports.
And the scaling is good for top, but I don't know if it's going to be enough against an Ocean Soul and Otacon, and now a 3,000 gold lead here for Billy Gaming. The hottest team we've had since the second round robin in the LPL.
Watch the two junglers here, because we're not here to smite for the Ocean Soul. Really good flicker on the Cream as he gets stuck early on. And yeah, I mean, Kanavi got in there, but just wasn't able to connect it with a smite. And we got to return to live. Beishwan, he doesn't have ult, doesn't have flash. He might be going down. TP coming in.
Oh, Bin's here, though. Beishwan's still alive. It forces the flash out of 369, and that's going to be the signal of his demise as the teleports came in from Knight, and Bin was here as well, resulting in that 1-for-1 trade that you're going to take so far. If you're BLG, Cream still looking to go forward. The flash in onto Knight is not enough. And Knight is going to survive, and Jackie Love is now 1v1ing Bin with a 3-level disadvantage, and it's going to be BLG gaining control once again. 2 aces in 2 goddamn minutes for BLG.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, top's flipping, and those flips not coming up their way. They take down the newest member of BLG in Beishwan, but BLG going to take a whole hell of a lot more than that. I mean, man, taking inventory of this game, Grapes. It feels like Jackie has been pretty invisible.
Hasn't done too much. I mean, he got a couple of early kills on the Kai'Sa, like in the mid lane there, but starting off from that dive, really setting himself up for failure there, as Elk has had his number in game number 1.
And this for me is like, this is my whole beef about playing Panth into Taliyah. It's like just your ability to control fights as Taliyah with your E, your Q. I mean, even going a damn Rylai's here for Knight. What can you do? Like, this is a low range composition really for top esports. And this is desperation, right? Trying to find the pick, but as you highlighted, Grapes, more gold experience and levels in the pockets of BLG, and Knight on this Taliyah. Yeah, he gets low in the back half here when Cream flashes in and tries to take him down, but not even close enough. As, yeah, I mean, him and Kanavi just going through the rocks. Knight able to flash out. Locket comes in. Good Locket and peel from On. And any hope of a fight win for top esports goes to the wayside as, again, Jackie just getting 1v1 by Bin. And this Kai'Sa has really not been able to shine this game.
And don't think he'll have the opportunity to shine for much longer here in this first game, as Jackie Love, again, we've liked him on some of the safer picks so far this season, things like the Misfortune and the Ezreal, but even something like the Varus, but it's when he's on the Kai'Sa and some of these more aggressive picks with more agency that he hasn't actually been as strong as the Jackie Love that we know and love for the most part. And that's been one of the big reasons why top esports has maybe not looked as strong here so far in the splits.
Oh,
it's going to be 369 going down again. Kanavi going to basically ult straight to his downfall here. As BLG find 2 more kills, and this game's getting out of hand quick.
That was a 300 Spartan ult right there, you know?
For Sparta, you know, you see your brother dying beside you, you're like, all right, you know what? I'm going to make sure we end ourselves in glory here.
Yeah.
As BLG going to now get the Baron. Because
maybe should have picked better terrain to fight around, you know? Can't take down 10,000 people with 300 in the middle of a lane. You got to find the chokes, Grapes. Hashtag Art of War. But you see top esports, they're throwing a couple curveballs at BLG to try and win this one, but not looking like there's any hope here this game 1. As, again, just kind of wait until the Fat Lady sings, a.k.a. the Elder Dragon's going to spawn to the buck 50, and Baron buff going to be in tow for BLG as they try and take that one down. Jackie Love going to get a pity prize in the bot lane. That's a lot of gold thanks to the pity prize, but oh, nice. That's going to be a lot more gold going to BLG.
Add insult to injury there. Yeah, Elk's going to now have a 3-level lead over Jackie Love as top esports are getting collapsed upon in their own base and need to do something about it. Otherwise, the game will just end on its own. But it looks like the game's going to end nonetheless, as it is Kanavi getting chunked out and taken down by Knight. for the first casualty in the fight. Chris going forward. It's going to be the killer instinct from Jackie Love looking to find some sort of trade as they do find the kill on a Beishuan. And Bin is a little bit collapsed upon right now, but Knight's just too dang strong in this mid lane. On this Talia pick, it's going to be 2 inhibitors going down with the Baron buff in hand, and it could be more soon. As the seismic shove does find Jackie Love. Rylai's having an immediate impact here on this new patch. Elk going forward, looking to put the finishing touches here on this game number 1, and there's nothing that the soul laners of TES can do about it. In 28 minutes, it is BLG into the base of top, and looking for revenge off of playoffs last year, looking to repeat what happened in the regular season. As into the Nexus they go, it'll be a game 1 victory for BLG on red side of all places.
A great game from BLG as it felt like things could have gotten out of control. Top Esports were actually able to execute that dive on the bot lane, but I think that dive bot lane is when my hair might have been a little bit wild in that one, as well, things were a little bit erratic. They did not let the tower cool down. They ended up getting blasted by the tower in BLG, who lost one more fight after that, but really didn't look back from their grapes.
It wasn't a perfect game from BLG by any means. There were a couple of mistakes that they made in the mid game that Top Esports were able to take advantage of. You know, letting Kanavi get that free invade off and allow for them to get that first blood. I think Cream had at least a decent start to the game, even though it didn't end up working out for him at the end, as Knight really put on an MVP performance for himself. But it just, yeah, BLG just were better in a lot of those early game sequences, and we talked about how important the early game was here in this game, and we saw it right there firsthand.
Yeah, and man, if you're a BLG fan, it's so funny, like, having these two teams go toe-to-toe. So it really feels like the LPL fan base just so wants Top Esports to lose, given what happened Split 1 going international, and they so want, like, the saviors of BLG to come back with Beishuan and hopefully be the hope at an international event for LPL fans. And I gotta say, with Top Esports, I mean, covering LPL, like, they were fantastic in the regular season, but this doesn't feel like the same Top Esports that was the seed 1. Again, Jackie Love and Crips has just not been playing as well, and in this case, I do think that draft, like, yes, we could play really hard for side lanes, for solo lanes, but then you put a Kai'Sa in there as well, and I just think that Kai'Sa really struggles in that draft. I don't think it was the right game for that pick, because there's not a lot of stuff that you can use to piggyback or, like, get to the back line, and even if you do, I mean, you gotta dive into a Talia, Rumble, Ezreal. Like, it's really hard to function that game as the Kai'Sa. So a little bit surprised looking back from that pick. And it did feel like, again, once that bot lane dive failed and the Kai'Sa fell behind, we saw Elk's Ezreal, a big pick for both him and Jackie Love, really pop off in this game.
And as the marksmen start to get taken away as we go through Fearless, all of a sudden Jackie Love's champion pool is something that BLG could potentially target here. I mean, we saw them ban away the Misfortune. They picked away the Ezreal. That's not going to be available for the rest of this series. Those are 2 of the most powerful picks that Jackie Love has had this year. And if he's going to be forced off of his comfort, that is a bad sign for TES.
I mean, he's been around for a long time. Like, there are other champs. I mean, his Senna is one of the best in the world. They haven't played it yet. We could easily see that in Fearless today. His Ashe is still 3-0, but it's been mostly Ezreal, Varus, and MF for Jackie Love. And I think that he is elite on those 3 champions. But after that, I don't think that he's been quite the same performance with the team. Again, both the Varus, the MF, the Ezreal, a lot of times you can get mid-prio when you rotate there. You can't really push people around early with the Varus and the MF. That is when Top Esports is at their best. And when that's not available, sometimes we do see them topple, and this was definitely one where, again, Chris, he didn't let that tower cool down. And, yeah, Cream was... He felt the brunt of it in the back half.
Yeah, the heated up tower, I took him down basically in 2 shots. A little bit of help from Elk there on that one, but what was initially a good play for Top Esports on that bottom side, just burning On's flash, turned into all of a sudden a disastrous play after they continued to try to commit. This was something that worked out for TES, as 369 doing a nice job kiting away, and then a bit of an overextension from Beishuan specifically. But this was really the last time that we saw Top Esports find any positive momentum.
I do think Beishuan did play a couple plays a little bit too fast in this one. That said, there were a couple other fights, like that Soul fight he played. I thought he played that one really well. So again, this is a player we have to look out for, just given that it is the biggest game that we've ever seen Beishuan play in. As someone that has really gotten an opportunity with BLG to play at a higher level. And we're looking to see if he can cash it in. And this definitely felt like a game 1 where he could.
Doing a really good job on the Vi. There's Giga Bin, Giga TPing away. A lot of stuff going well for BLG. And again, one of those situations where you look at the seeding of these two teams and it doesn't tell the full story. BLG really struggling with Wei on their lineup for the first half of split number 2. But ever since Beishuan has been here, it's just been so much better. As that is how the Soul got secured, by the way. With Kanavi jumping in, it was just a stray Mystic shot from Elk.
Again, Beishuan had to go over the wall. He played the fight a little bit fast and early, but the fact that Ocean Soul was yoinked away, honestly, I don't think it mattered. I think the way they played the fight, they would have smashed that fight anyway. And Ocean Soul, Ocean Soul is kind of fake in some games, Grapes. Let's be honest. I don't think it really changed the outcome of this one all too much. I think the fight win, it would have been a clean ace regardless, right? And you get the Baron, you kind of play the map out the way you did as BLG, but hey, Soul never hurts. As last-ditch effort was flashing through the rocks onto Talia, but didn't see that. As I know, I've had a lot of beef with the Talia handshake. I'm very surprised that Pantheon was taken first, because I know at one point in the LPL, Talia was 4-0 in games against Pantheon when I was having beef with it early on. I know FPX actually beat it the other day, which I was a little bit surprised about. But if you can't win the front line as Pantheon, I just think that your power as a champion goes down a lot. Like, yes, globally, you have the semi-global to make plays. Yes, you are just ridiculously strong in the first few levels of the game. But if you can't control the front line, like, Pantheon's good in fights. And you need to get his full power out of his kit if you're going to rotate out auto attacks and actually have more empowered abilities. So if you don't control the front line or win, something that's really tough to do in Talia, that can be hard as Pantheon. And I think the Raiwai is the identity we had there. You could see BLG's ability to really kite, hold space. And when you're doing that against Rumble, Talia, Ezreal, I mean, good luck winning.
The beauty of being on this live patch, you get all the new items, like right into effect going into the playoffs here, as we are a couple of short moments away from unveiling our player of the game. I think it has to go either towards Knight or Elk in that one, Cubby. I'm going Knight. Okay. We're
I think
on this one, then.
I think I'm going to take Elk. He just got 2-fed early and was really, really solid. But I also think the Knight had a good one. Even like the side lane deaths he had, I mean, somewhat forgivable when you're going up against Panth Rise, and he did his job, right?
Elk did a lot of that damage in the fights, but I just thought the setups from Knight's Talia, specifically around that fight around the Soul, he had 2 huge combos in a row, one into Cream and then one into Kanavi, that ended up securing them that ace. So I always like looking for like the big moment instead of necessarily just like KDA searching, but there were some other mistakes from Knight that I could understand why they did go with Elk, who was the player of the game here for this one.
Boom boom damage award. I fear, Grapes. You know, sometimes it just happens. But
yeah.
Hey, the PTA, the jack of all trades on the Ezreal was damn good. As Elk, again, a pick not just big for him and BLG, but really big for top esports. Of course, in Fearless Drafts, I think taking Ezreal away from Jackie will have always a win, especially if we can do what Elk was able to do in this game.
And so is BLG jumping up to a 1-0 lead in our upper semifinal best of 5 against top esports. However, remember the last time these two teams faced off in the playoffs of Split 1, it was top esports who handled it 3-1. So battle between those two histories here. Two of our biggest players in the LPL over the last 5 years. Will BLG be able to continue that momentum, or will Top Esports find the answer right back? We'll find out after this. But before we do so, we want to give a big shout out to all of you watching here on the Twitch chat, and then we are extremely grateful to our Coffee and YouTube subscribers who continue to help level up the show. A lot of the initial payments go into supporting the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it also pays on-air talent and content creators. So you can subscribe to our Coffee. It is linked in the chat right now to unlock perks like early access to content, the ability to ask interview questions in our unique on-site interviews, and to see your name on screen once a month here. So thank you very much to our Coffee supporters and our YouTube subscribers. And for all of you guys, we're going to see that continue here. More LPL coverage coming your way after this. Welcome back, everybody, to LPL English's coverage of the upper bracket semifinals between Top Esports and BLG, where we just saw BLG take a pretty clean game number 1 win and looking like the hottest team in the LPL, like we have seen from them in the second half of split number 2. But before we dive into the draft of game number 2, we have a quick question to ask you. Have you ever heard of MOBA Trainer? It is a new app that teaches you League of Legends through a series of puzzles. You just boot up the program and work through puzzles every day to improve your game knowledge by selecting puzzles from a map, answering questions, and unlocking more features. And we're going to do one right now, Cubby, as we wait for game number 2. I feel like we've been hit or miss with these puzzles, so we're gonna try our best for this one.
I was gonna make a joke or a reference about the Yankees being down 10-0 at inning 3 yesterday, but I'm gonna pass on that.
Hey, we bounced back today on Sunday night.
Okay, yeah,
so
that's good. We're gonna try and bounce back here too. Let's check out Mickey X. What do we have here for Mickey X?
Okay,
our GOAT when it comes to playing around mid. That just might be the clip we have here. As looks like our jungler making his way downtown. We got a sweeper up. Actually, I'm kind of curious if you see any AP Twitch coming up here, Grapes.
Oh. Okay. So we have the wave pushing into us here. Well, actually, we have 4 minutes to 3 advantage, so maybe we have time to go
should use sweeper now. Yes. Yeah. You can see Karma dipped up. By the way, guys, if you're playing support at home, please bluff this. If you're playing Trinket versus like a Trinket diff, right? You can actually bluff this.
Yeah.
And then you should return to lane because we don't have Viego yet. I think Viego's too far away to fight.
You can even W out if you need to. Not that you had to, but you would have had another cycle of cooldowns available. And
it's a good clear. We should.
Fogging a Tri-Brush doesn't make any sense because you were just there, so there's no reason to like bait.
I think it's like Viego's kind of here. I don't know if we go now. Is it a hold or go, Grapes? And leave this up to you.
The only reason I'd say go now is because the
let's go now.
Wave is going to push in soon. Okay. Ash is not over.
Good choice. A trade. Okay, so we got a 50-50, I guess.
Okay, so I think we did what the player did, but it seems like MOBA Trainer saying that it was there could have been a better option because the sun didn't connect anyway.
I mean, Ash was positioned illegally. We have to at least try, right?
Yeah.
And then
who are we going for here? Karma or the Ash? I will say Ash is cleansed, but he's the more priority target. So.
Well, we're going to be able to flip Ash back, so I would go for Ash. Because Ash is further away in the lane, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Saw that click forward?
Oh, you saw the click forward? Yeah, Ash is also just
hey, that's exactly what you said. Yeah.
But let's be honest.
And you can just flash on him, yeah. And then waiting for the cleanse. It's like maybe now that you go on Viego.
Beautiful.
Sense. Yeah.
Nice flip of the target.
Let's do this last one real quick. I think there's one more question here.
Oh.
I think
we got to peel. Yeah, Ash is not gettable.
We have W coming up soon. Hey.
Yeah.
It helps that we have the resident support player here to help us out here, but we did go 5 for 5,
yeah, former.
Which we will take.
We'll take 5 for 5. Well played there by Mickey X, and well played by our brains, Grapes, as we looked more like the Yankees today than yesterday.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
There we go.
If you enjoyed that, you can subscribe for 20% off and unlimited puzzles by using our code LPL20. Proceeds will benefit the MOBA Trainer designers and the LPL English unofficial broadcast. So start leveling up your game today with the MOBA Trainer as we have jumped right back into the draft of game number 2 in our upper semifinal. Top Esports staying on that blue side after dropping game 1, with the ban staying a little bit, actually changing up a lot.
Yeah, a little different. So later half, the Trundle ban ends up being a Poppy ban, and that really does open up a Xin game. Which I like the setup for 369. But of course, BLG with Bin, they've really discovered that they can just kind of slam Yorick and it's chill. And that looks to be the plan here. But that Trundle ban, Trundle's really been emerging as a potential higher priority jungler. And I've actually quite liked it. I think you need to play with winning lanes and play to skirmish early. But definitely some power, especially with all the tanks being taken to the top lane at the moment.
Yeah, to me, seeing the Trundle ban for Top Esports basically was announcing to the world that they were going to lock in Xin Zhao. So surprised to see that BLG didn't ban that one away. Instead, choosing to ban the Poppy, as we have really flown through this first phase of the draft with the entire top sides being selected. Yeah, I do want to reemphasize Bin's Yorick being very, very powerful in the side laning, even though he didn't actually do too much on it in game number 1 against IG in terms of team fighting. He ended the game 1-1-1, but the side lane pressure that he had against this Scion that has been locked in for 369 was very, very evident.
We'll say that as this matchup has evolved, it has gotten a little bit better for Scion because everyone just builds the Sunfire Cape now, so you deal with the pets a little bit better. But This is still the matchup where York really started to emerge as a power pick after his changes. And at the moment, I do like what we have for BLG. I think they need to find a way to actually deal with the Scion, though. Because Wukong, definitely ability to tank bust and kind of play interrupt duty against this Azir. But I don't think that they have enough damage to deal with Scion. I think they're going to have to... Like, they can't take an AD like Jhin, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested to see where they go from here.
It's going to be support bans here for Top Esports with that Rakan taken off the board. Where now we can start to pinch that pool for JackeyLove a little bit more. Cubby, we saw the Varus ban away in the first phase, the Ashe in the second. Wouldn't be surprised to see MF right here to just continue to make JackeyLove more and more uncomfortable, forcing him out of something he does not want to play.
I don't love playing MF in the Scion. That said, with the Jhin and Ashe bans, I don't think that these are a great chance for BLG in this game, so I do like these bans. And it is kind of setting up for a potential MF.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them lock it in. That's exactly what they did in game number 1, where they banned away 2 marksmen from JackeyLove and then picked 1 on 4. That was the Ezreal for Elk that last time around. The MF, as you say, like might have some sort of impact here. A
lot of the good matchups are gone.
Yeah.
Could Lucian. Lucian did get nerfed a little bit on this patch. The E cooldown just a little bit longer. And also we have seen LPL be more willing to play Lucian without the Enchantresses. As I know that's been a really big thing in LCK with Lucian Braum being back. Of course, if you run Final Life, you can proc Lucian's passive. So that's big. But giving over the MF, I'm a little bit surprised about this. This is, I consider JackeyLove like one of, if not the best MF players in the world. And I think that this is a reasonable setup for MF. Just with the Azir, you have that tank busting. So I do feel like this is a game where MF's early strength and Top Esports' ability to play with and around this, they are a very good MF team. So a little bit surprised that MF actually went over.
And after losing that first game with champions that were preferring to sideline and play with those semi-globals, it is full team fight for Top Esports here in game number 2. As we are waiting to see what Elk's going to lock in on 5. A lot of different options. I would say the Corki makes a little bit more sense just with some of that armor shred against something like the Scion. But the Jinx would be fun. As Top Esports say, we want a team fight, and BLG say, okay, well, we're going to match you with one of the best team fighting AD carries in the entire game.
Okay, I was about to say, it was looking like Reset City there for a second, but they are going to rock with this Lucian, plus what I expect to be a Final Life on the Rel. As Lucian, your ability to try and play around the MF Azir, it can be really nice, but this is going to be about burst ability for BLG. You don't want to hit the Scion. You got to play around the Scion. And how big of a fight can we have when Rel and Wukong are going to press R on Top Esports? I think that on the flip, Cream ability to actually play disengage could be quite good this game. And I don't see the damage for Top Esports or BLG. They have a lot of damage, but is it actually enough to get through Scion? I'm not sure. Do they have enough tools to get around the Scion? I think that's the real answer to this game. They got to present angles to the MF and the Azir.
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating, game to watch because, we haven't seen too much of the Lucian plus non-Enchantress in the bottom lane here in the LPL at the very least. And then for Top Esports, just such a deviation in their style from what they went for in game number 1. But, they knew that they had to be a little bit different this time after being basically demolished after a couple of bad fights in the first game that allowed for BLG to get control.
I do still like it. I know that the scaling of BLG with at least the top side and like the Wukong can kick in, but I think their ability to get pushed with Azir, MF, and Scion, have stable lanes behind the Xin Zhao, and try and play this game, early game from start to finish. For me, that's actually much more of a return to the style we're used to seeing from Top Esports, so see if they executed this game.
BLG 2-0 to Top in the regular season just a couple of weeks ago. But Top Esports have the upper hand when it comes to performances in the playoffs, at least this year. They are your Split 1 champions. Their lower bracket run included a 3-1 over BLG. And we're going to see if that remains the case as we're on to the race for game number 2 from Beijing.
All right. Well, we got the Giants this time around. We were feeling pretty good there. It's Beijing
high
nice
energy.
And loud.
JackeyLove. Oh, he gets knocked out for the crash down. Immediately followed up by Elk. Wow, that forces the flash away. 2 members underneath the tower. And first blood picked up for BLG. JackeyLove just did not see that play coming.
That's a rough start. First blood going to be picked up by On. A lot of flashes burned, so we'll see if Kanavi kind of changes things up. I can't see him going from his Raptors to the top side. So maybe we're going to have Kanavi actually look bot now, as I'm disappointed we don't have a Fauna Life on On's Rel. But we do have free boots on the Rel, so definitely going to be dedicated to laning here, as the move speed for BLG not going to be intact for a while. A lot of members going free boots. Actually, can be quite interesting with some of the metagame in terms of runes.
That's a very greedy shield bash for On. I mean, obviously, like, you get the little extra chunk of damage once you,
nice on Rel,
you W in, but you get so much more damage if you allow for Lucian's passive to be procced, right? So I guess for On, like, just like an early lock-it is what they're looking for here. That's a two-man crash down onto the flashless Jackie Love. You see Chris taking a good chunk of damage as well. So the early laning phase going very well for BLG.
Yeah, PTA quite nice, and I do like Lucian in the MF. This is a good matchup for Lucian. Your ability to try and get around the double ups, around the bullet time, and use your combos to really pressure MF, something that she can't really keep up with. And if you want to get crazy, I know of some dark technology. It's very old, but you can play some Bork Lucian if you actually want to keep up with the vamp of MF2. It's
the
dark, but you know it used to be doable.
That's like season 7, season 8 that was that was really popular. So we're going into the vault for that one here.
Oh yeah, that's a vault, but that's all right. We're probably not going to see that one this game, but you know, I always like to throw out the old Lucians. As Elk first time piloting Lucian. It's worth noting, of course, Knight on Ahri. He is an unbelievable Ahri player. The Knight also an unbelievable mid laner, and someone that we have really felt like a lot of BLG and the strength, the differences they've had. Knight's been solid all split, but Knight has gone to the second gear with Beishwan, as he has hands down, uncontested, been the best mid laner in LPL. This split, and frankly, since he started hoisting these trophies in the league, Grapes.
Yeah, it's been, I think this is like year 6 of Knight just being at the forefront of everything LPL mid lane. It's been a decade of Knight here, to say the least. As another engage comes through from Jacula, forcing the cleanse here with that Q, but Kanavi has path down here, so going to continue the play at least a little bit longer. As Kanavi does have the W and the flash combo to try to gap close here. On going forward, the audacious charge lands onto the Rel, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but the support's falling. But that's not positive for top esports, as they'll be able to push this wave on in.
It's fed over to Jacula. This will be a double crab for Beishwan, as he's just going to cruise through mid to take this one. This actually is really nice for Beishwan. And the 1-for-1 trade, yes, getting the golden MF's a little bit better, but honestly not all that bad for BLG, as Elk's not going to be pressured off any of this, and Beishwan does get a little bit of a lead. Is nice. The Wukong against Inzao in this matchup. You do have to get Trinity Force, so a little bit of a higher gold threshold to get your first item, and Wukong scales really, really hard. So I think Beishwan getting off to a clean start can be really nice here.
Does pick up the double crab, as you said, and Chris going to spot that one out right away. So Kanavi a little bit homeless until his second spawn of camps does come in. But speaking of, we're going to see an immediate swap to the top side here for top esports, making sure that Bin is in an isolated situation. But it's going to be matched immediately by Elk, so they see this coming.
Really well played here by BLG. I think something that I always like to think about or talk about when there's a Scion game, just overarching, your ability to 1v2 as Scion versus other top laners, it's a lot. It's really good.
Oh, they can bait for Elk because they know that Kanavi is here as well.
This is spotted.
Yeah, the Ardent Blaze already coming through. Kanavi going to be the target. Crash down, lands on top of him. He's forced to flash away at 300 HP. Not a ton of damage to follow things up. And it's just going to be Crisp and Kanavi on the run.
Dropping away.
Waiting for On's next proc of the W. That crowd control does land, and the Feats of Warfare secure for BLG.
Well played by BLG. A great ward drop by Bin. Frankly, that ward, by the way, was spotted. He was holding this wave, and BLG saw Bin dip down and drop that ward. I'm really surprised that Kanavi actually walked over it. It's something that Kanavi and top esports are pretty elite at in terms of playing around vision gaps. Definitely something that Kelsey Moser was talking to us about beforehand. We very much agreed with. Walking over that ward there again, BLG on top of things with the swap. We're able to find the first one. That said, Bin did TP to match the bot lane, so they will be stuck for this swap.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, top esports get what they wanted, but it comes at the cost of another kill and the Feats of Warfare, and just overall a good early game for BLG.
It's not worth it.
We do finally get set up. I mean, this should mean like a dragon could get secured here for top esports if they are able to play things out well, but for now, it's not
Crisp
looking
is
too good for them as Bin actually hits level 6. And Crisp could be in some trouble with on the way as well. Dodge away from the stun, but there's just way too much DPS. The Maiden doing some work, and Bin will get on the board as well.
I love how BLG is playing this early game. And I know we really did set up this series as being a potential early game arms race, with top esports being at their best when they are able to play games out from minute 1 with pushing lanes. But man, some of the answers we've had from BLG just on the map with some of their movements in play, this team's been really spot on so far today, Grapes. It's been a really fun, impressive start from them, as they're blitzing down top esports, countering a lot of the plays that, you know, we usually think would be top favored. And again, like with this composition, I mean, we've seen a lot of this style of comp with MF Scion, your ability to rotate. I feel like BLG, the answers they've had have been really, really good. Elk's going to drop this wave that will hurt a little bit. They should probably switch things back up with Bin, but still, they got the Dragon, and they got kills bot secured.
Another kill onto the Bin Yorick as well. I mean, we meant you look. I'm going to call back to that lower third. 8-2 on this champion, dating back to the start of the second round robin, which is where we've seen BLG look really nice. As Knight will face check the red buff being taken away, uses the Spirit Rush to escape, and will be very happy about it nonetheless. JackeyLove might have to flash away from here. It looks like instead he's going to just use his auto attacks to clear out that wall and allow for the wave to crash underneath the turret. But in this swap situation now, it is Bin that's going to be able to control this in a 2v1.
Yeah, actually pretty smart by Bin. We didn't see him throw that E out on the JackeyLove, because once you E, the Maiden gets stuck on like attacking Jackie. So I know the Maiden took a little bit of damage there, but do like how he's been playing around that. Elk actually got starved out a little bit in this last sequence, and Knight as well. So good punish by top esports off the Dragon and that kill going over with on showing bot. I do think they actually picked up more gold off the play. Of course, dropping the Dragon still not going to be super ideal, but we've been talking a lot about how we've liked the early game movements from BLG. That was a good save there from top.
Slowly but surely going to try to get their way back into this game. As it is a scaling team fighting-ish composition that we talked about for TES in this one, being the Scion, the Misfortune, the Azir. That's where they're going to be at their strongest. But BLG love to skirmish, and they have level 6 on Beishuan right now, which means they can go for the grubs. Another nice engage from on Kanavi, popping the Crescent Guard, looking to try to collapse on a Knight. He has to flash away. The bullet time going to come through from Jackie. It does work, and Beishuan will drop as top esports find the fight that they might have been looking for. On going to drop as well. A double kill in for Cream is still alive. Charm only landing on a Kanavi. And JackeyLove going to force him away with a full HP bar and some double love. The pressing attack already doing a lot of damage on a Knight. And he's forced to pop the W and escape. The flash forward to the cleanse. JackeyLove popping off in the mid lane and getting the kill on a Knight. And top esports finding a big fight around the grubs.
Welcome to the series, JackeyLove. That was a huge fight for him with the MF. A little bit surprised that BLG took that one with Knight missing the ultimate. A couple of big plays ended up happening there. Shout out to Crisp. Actually flashed to catch the charm and interrupt the CC chain that was going down onto Kanavi, and that did help Kanavi actually be able to play out that fight. Again, Knight with no ult available. The power for BLG there at the grub fight, I think, went down a lot. A little bit surprised that they tried to fight that one as hard as they did. Look at this flash from Chris.
They felt like they were stronger in terms of their current composition, but
yeah.
A lot of time bought by Kanavi, forcing the flash out from Knight, and then Cream cleaning things up here on the backside.
Yeah, I little bit surprised that Cream got out. I thought that if Elk threw the double up into Cream, that actually would have hit. I think he put it into Crisp. So potential that we could have had a Azir go down there too, but now Cream with the early Nashers and 3 grubs. We've seen what Azir can do here, and likely going to be another game where we have that Rylai's emerge on the Azir instead of the Beyondries, with Beyondries, of course, losing some AP, and Rylai's getting buffed up a little bit. It's funny because we have, if you're a long-time League of Legends fan, like we have fully reverted to where Azir started out when he was released as a champion, which was Nashor's Rush, Max W, and build Rylai's second. I know it's taken us like 10 years to get back to that, but that was the original Azir. Yeah.
There was some time where like Ludens was popular, then you go into like...
They changed them. It was a Q Max, right? You're pushing. No, W Max, we're back.
Full team fighting here for Cream, as he's already picked up that full Nashor's Tooth and gotten himself a nice little CS gap here. And, going back to these mid-jungles a little bit as well, with, Kanavi being the favorite over Beishuan and Knight being the favorite over Cream. That's that nice little dichotomy there. But even between the two newer players in Cream and Beishwan, I mean, I look at Beishwan as somebody who's in a similar boat as what Cream was in last year when he joined Top Esports, right? As being a player that has had some nice performances on some lower level teams and now finally getting his first big shot. I think so far he's performed nicely and done his job, but waiting to see him take that next step, like I think we've seen from Cream at points in this year, to really establish himself as an elite level jungler.
For me, a lot of the steps that Cream still has to make, I mean, they're going to come in international tournaments, right? I just don't think that we've seen Cream have an effective champion pool big enough to compete at the highest level against the diabolical mid laners that LCK always seems to send to international tournaments. You've seen Bin actually get the Maiden back up, but the fact that he hit E, it means you're kind of stuck on Sion. This could be a Maiden kill. And that's a 2-minute cooldown.
Well, if he needs it.
Yeah.
Not actually using it. Actually, looking to go for the fight. Hey, hold on. 369 went back to base.
Kanavi might be in trouble.
We're just leaving Kanavi out to dry here as Bin still has the flash. He can just follow, maybe
On's here
with a Q.
Oh,
So
Sion
Kanavi, with a little bit of greed here, could be in some trouble. They're going to dash back in onto On. A fully charged top left, but it's not enough. It's 369 now with the flash away. Too much time trying to take down the Maiden, but it could result in the fight beginning. It's a 2v4 set up here for BLG.
What is this?
Into the cage he goes. It's going to be 369 going down. Knight getting the kill. And now Cream's going to get caught up, landing on the charm. The Emperor's Divide only sending Bin back. He dashes away. The culling coming out. Finally, Jackie Love going to be alive, but it's going to be all too late. He gets caught up by the Magnet Storm.
What?
And Top Esports die one by one.
Top Esports, what was that? Why are I don't get why we're sending ourselves in for the Maiden. That was the most valuable Maiden of all time, as Ben sacrifices his wife to kill everyone else on the side of Top Esports.
Just press the smite button, man. I think it does 500. It's reduced damage, but you can still take the Maiden down quicker.
Look, sometimes, you know, we're on a map with 10 dudes. Sometimes the Maiden can be a hell of a taunt, all right? But Konami, we got to lock in better than that. What was that coming out from top? We pretty much sent it all to kill the Maiden and then sent it to try and save our MVP and Kanavi. Ended up sending a lot of gold over to the pockets of BLG because they were the ones that were there at the play first. And of course, when we're trying to 1v1 the Maiden, I mean, we got to see the work that Bid was doing. I would like to say that this is why we're seeing such a high priority on Yorick for BLG and Bin, but they really just played into the hands of BLG and just created a terrible scenario for themselves.
I mean, you either all in on killing the Maiden with 369, or you both back away. You cannot do this, as it resulted in a really bad sequence that opened up after a nice fight for Top Esports around the Grubs, by the way.
This was so questionable, as I mean, even this TP in from Cream. And I do want to give credit to how BLG played this one out. I think On's been really on point with Rel so far this game. Look at some of the side steps that he has here. Just spacing Cream, buys times for his abilities, and they take down this Sion. And then in the back half, even able to just stay alive and buy time to kill Jackie Love. Like, look at Jackie in this fight. Jackie is rotating with a Bloodthirster. This is where you're strongest as MF, but the fact that he's trying to get in here, On just one-shots him because he used space well, got his cooldowns back. Bin's down flash. He's probably going down here, but still, there's a lot invested by Top Esports. What else can BLG get as 4 people are top?
See, this is what you do. You send everybody at the same time to take down Bin.
Yes.
This time he didn't have the Maiden set up for himself, but regardless, you're going to take a nice trade here for top. As Cream setting up the engage, allowing for this push to come on the top side. And by the way, we have that Herald spawning in less than a minute as well. Looks like BLG aren't necessarily done with this play, though. As you see Elk and On starting to make their way up towards this top lane tier 1 turret. Jackie Love going to follow. And this is where the presence will be for both sides until that Rift Herald becomes available. Culling opening up here onto Kanavi. He face tanks a lot of it. Gets chunked down to about 45% HP. And with Knight on the way back to the top side, Top Esports have to go for a reset or else they will be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they're really trying to stall and delay top here. They don't have numbers. No TP from Bin. But you can see with the info they have, he's trying to get a little bit frisky here. Yeah, I do think looks like we're not going to have a play here, Grapes. I do want to say that as this game goes on again, we're going to have that Rywise coming in on Azir. I think this does really warp some of the fights from Azir, especially in this game as 369 is going that way.
This is classic Sion gaming. You know, we're chilling.
He knows more than me. That's fine. I do think that there is an opportunity like Ahri Lucian again if we're not bursty as BLG. There is some potential for Top Esports to win out on these long fights because Rywise Crystal Scepter, we saw the ability that Talia had to really space things in the last game and how good that was. In this game, really feel like Cream can do the same for his team and trying to really punish Ahri and Lucian, who are pretty low range when Can't get hit,
we don't have
hit
that.
up the
We don't have that
Rise.
Rise yet, which means the collapse can come through for BLG. They use the Rift Herald to pick up the tower, and they're also going to get a kill on the Crisp. But now Kanavi, he smites away the Herald, make sure that escape route is not in essence. And here comes Knight with the teleport. Going to be a little bit overextended, but there's no numbers right now for top. So BLG going to get out scot-free despite being a little bit out of position.
I do think that this gold lead is important for BLG too as time goes on. Because again, what Azir can do in this game, for me, a lot of eyes are going to be on Cream moving forward. I think if he's allowed to function in these fights as the Rylai's Azir, it's going to make life a lot harder for BLG again to try and get through. And for me, with the shotgun comp that they have, right, how important it is to execute around those R keys of Wukong, Ahri, Rel, Lucian. For me, the target has to be Azir moving forward. That's a little bit trickier than Jackie Love's MF.
And if you do send all your resources onto the Azir, all of a sudden that is Jackie Love, who is untouched and can maybe have a really high impact with the bullet time for himself. And so kind of a tough situation in these late game team fights for BLG, which is why we're favoring Top's composition come a late game. But BLG right now do have that 2,000 gold lead. They have a lot of resources, specifically onto Elk once again, who has had a great series so far. And they got to continue to play things out in these mid-game skirmishes if they want to continue to have that lead and push themselves to a 2-0 advantage over TES.
Right now, it looks like top outer are going to be taken, but BLG, they've yet to drop a dragon in this series, Grapes. And a lot of these dragons have been taken on time, too. BLG, once again, on time to this one. Cream has a base and a TP available. He's going to go mid. As BLG, I don't know if they can stick this one. They're trying to let Bin get control of bot, but he's not here.
They got the teleport out of Cream, and he's going to issue some poke on Knight right now. Bin and Beishwan on a flank. A Magnet Storm comes through and lands on a 3 from On. As here goes the fight. Cyclone coming through from Beishwan, doing so much work, but a big shuffle comes through from Cream. It sends 2 members straight to Jackie Love's awaiting arms, and Bin's going to drop in a 1v3 situation. Kanavi taking down Knight. Top Esports has arrived, and they pick up an ace in game number 2.
That was a huge fight. Cream picked up the Rylai's there and popped the hell off in that one. As his entrance into the backline, that Shurima shuffle spelled the doom of BLG's backline. Got Top Esports a huge win as they take full control of this game. Take the Dragon, gonna knock down their last outer turret. Or last outer turrets, I should say. And Grapes. This game just slingshot back in Top Esports' favor.
It seems like we've done a little bit of this in the early game, but this feels, for the first time all series, that Top Esports firmly in control of the game.
This is a great engage from On, I should say, as he finds 3. But again, the setup for BLG wasn't quite as good. I really like the line that Cream's holding. And they didn't fire everything onto Cream. Like, yes, he gets charmed up, but Elk not really able to follow up. He gets stuck now in the choke. As what a great play from Cream to enter the back line there. 369 holding the line, doing a damn good job with Kanavi, too. Felt like BLG had no help or no hope in that one. As again, that shotgun from On and Elk, it didn't feel like Elk really connected with the right members. And of course, when you didn't focus on Cream, look what Cream was able to do with that Nashor's Rylai's being complete early on for that fight. He destroyed it.
And with BLG's main carries being an Ahri and a Lucian versus the Azir MF,
exactly.
You cannot go for these full 5v5s. You have to look for picks, find something before the full fight begins, and this could be a situation where a skirmish could occur, but Bin just gets one shot before Beishwan can do anything about it. On is here, will be able to land a nice crash down, but the bullet time already coming out. On presses the ultimate button a little bit too late, but finally the carries have arrived. It's going to be Knight and Elk to try to save this team fight, and they will be able to get the kill on the Jackie 11. 369 forced to run for the hills. Not going to be able to get that decimating smash down, and BLG finally respond.
Yeah, Top Esports a little bit deep there, and I think it's no Cream, no win, frankly. As, yes, the start was great. They took down Bin early on. I just think that Cream is so damn important to Top Esports and their hopes to win these team fights. Fights where Cream is going to be there with the Rylai's versus where he's not are going to be completely different. As On might be looking to try and pressure Cream here with the help of Elk coming in at a TP. If they're able to take down Cream, this would be significant.
The Sun Disc has been set up, but it looks like Top Esports not even looking for that one here. The Shifting Sand's going to send Cream away, and so Chris might just be the sacrifice. He uses Zenith Blade to try to escape. Really nice usage of that cage to try to lock Cream in. Crash down does land. Cream does not have a flash. Cream does not have an ult. Cream does not have a life. 1,000 gold to Bin.
That is significant. Right when it looked like Top Esports were taking control, they overextend on the top side. They take a fight without Cream. Then Cream gets hunted down, overplaying his hand. in the side lane, these are the things that Top Esports did so well to get Seed 1, how they played out in sides and played their macro. BLG just punished them on both sides, and now
Kanavi, he's going to try to go for the steal, but a nice delay of the take here. It is going to be a fully charged Q, eaten up by Knight. He dashes straight to his demise, but it is still BLG with the numbers advantage. Jackie Love using the blast code to try to get away, but Elk is just too strong. 7, 1, and 8 on this Lucian, and it allows for the Otacon and the fight to go BLG's way.
I mean, yes, the Lucian can't really damage the Scion, but it's about getting around the Scion. Who cares? And BLG, I mean, they just kind of made Top Esports look like they're chain inting across the map. It's been great plays from them. But, oh, we're getting a replay. Look at that bot lane. Looks like we had the Solar Flare burn early, and this is how we actually lost the Emperor's Divide. Oh, that's why it was so tricky. His Knight was able to TP out of that one. And that's a huge mistake from Cream, who burned the flash in that play too in the back half and went down. Again, Cream's going to be the big carry of this game. It's going to be tough to deal with him. He does have the Seekers coming in, so the Zanyas for some protection. But look at all the gold that Elk has now. He's got an LDR and a full item up on an MF. This game got so much harder for Top Esports, how they played out the last 3 minutes in those sequences.
And that's how BLG need to play this game from this point forward. It cannot be the 5v5 like we saw around the Dragon. It has to be isolated situations for Top Esports where you find advantages. You find places where maybe a player doesn't have a flash, a player doesn't have an Emperor's Divide like we saw from Cream right there, and be able to punish it through and through with the pick comp that you do possess. Things like this Ahri and the Lucian doing so much single target DPS has to be capitalized on for BLG.
I gotta say too, Grapes, like throughout the first 2 games of the series, we said going in that BLG's bot lane has looked much better of late, and it's really felt that way so far in this one. There have been a couple questionable plays and moments from Jackie Love. I know that he had one really good play around that grub fight, but I mean, he's behind. And Elk is just on the Lucian, man. I mean, you can feel like a superhero when you get early Flicker Blades, early LDR, and Elk sure as hell has looked like one. So he's zooming around, but again, Cream.
Oh, Knight!
Great find.
Gets caught out here. Spirit Rush on out of here, and now On is in some trouble as well. It's going to be just him forced back a little bit. Knight's going to be able to TP back to this fight with Bin pushing onto this top lane tier 2 turret. But I with Elk also top lane, it's going to be the Dragon going over to Top Esports.
And this is going to be the tricky thing again. That's a really good find by Cream and Kanavi just to get the ult out at Knight. And if Top Esports, they're able to set up, be bunched up like that, and they can prevent some of those angles coming in from BLG or disrupt the shotgun because they need to press R and go in together and actually be able to find these things. Again, the strength of Cream, he's going to be the one that has to carry this game.
Yeah, we talk about a player, a newer player here. This is his second full year on Top Esports after spending some time on some of those OMG rosters in the past, and has the keys to evening up this series right now. Jackie Love's severely behind. You have 369 on tank duty, which, he'll be valuable, but in terms of the damage, and also in terms of the zone control and the area of influence that he can have with these Sand Shoulders, with the Rylays in inventory, him and Kanavi have the ability to buy a lot of space for the rest of the team.
I really like how they synced up there again, holding that wall with the Rylai's Azir. Like it's going to be a real pest to deal with this Rylai's Azir. I cannot emphasize enough like how much this item really just changes things with how champs can interact and the space that you can buy as Cream. I think it's just going to be essential if they want to win this game, because again, as you both called out, Grapes, you have a Rylai's in, and yes, Lucian's slippery, but he's still pretty short range, right? Outside of that R. So if you're able to lock him up and slow him down, that is a world where the MF can thrive, and the Scion can also thrive if he's able to maybe squeeze out a few more decimating smashes or just an auto or just be more involved. So gonna have to look out for that, because we have seen a much closer game. It still feels like Top Esports kind of threw the potential lead they should have had in this one, but has been closer.
It really should have just been Top Esports with a 4,000 gold lead right now, and I mean, look at it. It was what, 13 to 11, and now it's 17 to 14. Like BLG got 6 kills in a row, and just
they had a 3.5k gold lead out of that. Like they flipped the 2k gold deficit into a 3.5k gold lead, and then a flip back to here. So has been fun. We were expecting a close series today, Grapes, against 2 of our top teams that we've had really since 2020. And as BLG, of course, a fan favorite in terms of representing people or this region internationally. And Top Esports, the org that has most recently represented this region internationally. Not to the hopes of fans, but still, they have put together a really strong split one and trying to make sure they finish that off on a high note.
It's going to take a little bit more work here, as BLG, despite them having that gold lead, again, the early game it was definitely more in their favor, and as we get to these big team fights around neutral objectives, that is really where we are favoring top esports if they are able to control areas of the map here with Cream and Jackie Love.
It's a lot of info.
Maybe catch out Jackie here, actually immediately popping the Cyclone, forcing at least a flash, if not more. Jackie Love might just be dead. That's Beijuan getting the kill. A beautiful find for the BLG jungler right as Baron has spawned.
Jackie Love didn't burn any sums. I don't think that he lives if he burns them, so at least he holds on, and it's a little bit too early for BLG to look at Baron, but they want more fights.
Another nice engage from On, and the culling will come through. Isolated situations for BLGs where they find success. They find two of them right there. And with the jungler down for 40 seconds, that is Baron picked up for BLG.
Yeah, a little bit early for Baron, but when there's no smite on the enemy team, might as well hit it, as top esports falling apart at the seams again here, Grapes.
What happened? Things were going so well for top esports.
What a greedy base from Jackie Love. Like outside the brush too. Yeah. And Jackie like he was basing outside the brush. That's inside the brush, Grapes. He gets the reset off. The fact that it's outside though, just a small thing, small mistakes coming out of Jackie Love. Really things that, I mean, if you've watched Jackie Love domestically, I really feel like this guy is an elite AD. And international fans remember him for IG, you know, being the young gun where it's, oh, he's going to play aggro and flip plays for better or worse, right? I feel like he really has gotten that to be a much more calculated and much more in his favor when he does decide to go for plays. Domestically, where he has been a beast. I mean, this guy is playing to make his 9th final in this split. I know he hasn't won all of them, but you cannot deny how good he is in this league. But, man, these are the small mistakes that, like, he's really cut out of his game in the last 7 years, and it kind of sucks to see him here.
Yeah, I mean, really having a tough go of things, especially here in this split. On TES has been a lot less of the super pop-off performances from Jackie Love. However, he has been clutch. Even if he finds himself behind in certain games, if he's able to find the right angle, find the right team fight in the late game, it can still be a vintage Jackie Love performance, and we're going to have to see one soon. As Dragon spawning in 3 seconds, it could be the 3rd Infernal Drake here for TES and picking themselves up that Infernal Soul point.
Ooh.
Cream pops the Banshees of Night. That is a big cooldown already utilized here. The Spirit Rush forward, Charm does not connect, but Crisp getting singled out. Crisp was getting called, and Crisp going down to Elk. Beijuan coming through for the Cyclone. Cream uses the Emperor's Divide all too late, as On will collapse upon him, and Kanavi going to go down on the backside, finally going to get one on tonight. Elk dashing forward on the Jackie Love and will take him down with one more auto attack, but he just will be able to survive at least for a little longer. Elk waiting for a dash to try to keep himself up. The turret doing so much damage, the Ardent Blaze not doing any work. But it's going to be Jackie Love surviving, but now the base is in tatters as Bin's able to pick up Inhibitor on the backside of the fight.
And they don't care about the Dragon. They want to use their Baron to keep on pushing as the Maiden gets sent under the turret, but the damage has been done. Bin has secured an Inhibitor, and they're looking for more.
Jackie still has his bullet time. They still have 369 as the big beefy frontliner, but it's going to be at least 2 Inims going down without that Dragon being picked up. So BLG can retreat right back towards it, but the Baron power play, huge for top esports, or huge for BLG, I should say, as they found themselves a massive lead and are in firm control to take a 2-0 lead.
And look at Elk, too. When we get the replay, Elk has just been such a monster in this series so far, Grapes. Has that Infinity Edge now as he's, I mean, almost 2 items up against Jackie Love. And I like what Cream does here with at least getting the Banshees and the ult out of Night, but the back half of this one, just how BLG is playing with space, they were able to find the engage, right? Chris kind of got stuck in this 9 brush with Knight keeping him there. Chris just gets one tapped, and then again, this approach from Jackie Love is just not good enough. He's not connected with his team. The Scion's not able to be here to help, and it's BLG using their mobility to really just delete top esports off the map. I think it's really important that Scion's here to hold the line, but once they're down Baron, I mean, he's dealing with the York split push, and Bin's winning that anyway, so feels like top esports just kind of stuck. And again, after that 3rd Dragon, you're up 3K gold with this comp. Like, we really liked where things were for top esports. They just have not been able to put it together from there.
A 10K gold swing now as BLG approaching unwinnable territory here for top esports. Cream going to be the target here as the calling out does come out, but Chris finds a nice engage with the Zenith Blade. Still has to flash away, though, and now the chase can begin potentially. 369 has TP, but they do not want to continue the fight. And again, it's BLG understanding their win conditions. They know that if they full engage in a 5v5 situation, top esports have the better champions. So they pick apart them one by one. They kite back here with Knight playing on a knife's edge in that mid lane, dashing forward, throwing out charms. And also they send Bin on that side lane because this Sion is a big part of how top esports win. And when he's forced to try to match a pushing Yorick, he's not going to be there to help his team.
Nope, and no one can really match a pushing Yorick too. That helps. Has been. You did go Hullbreaker, went the earlier Sorelda's going up against the Sion. And looks like he's going to go for the Shojin. Yep, there it is in inventory. So more abilities for Yorick. That's going to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, good luck. Good luck to anybody. Good luck to any two members of top esports against Bin right now in the side lane. You know, he hasn't had the big impact in these fights, but doesn't need to. He's playing this champion to perfection right now, and that's why he has an 8-2 record on it, especially here in the second half of the regular season.
Not just an 8-2 record, it's like, it feels like he's blinding Yorick for the majority of those games, too. And just daring people to beat him, which is the Bin of old. The Bin that we have grown to know and love in LPL, where the way that he's lanes is just a little bit too damn good for people to deal with, so.
Okay, here comes the fight that they may have. Oh, he's trying to drift. Not finding the stun, but the Solar Flare will onto Elk. It's going to be Jackie Love finding a big shutdown as a big pick comes through for TES. Kanavi looking to control the play still. He dashes over with the audacious charge. Does have the Crescent Guard still to try to knock away one, but now the target's going to be Beige One instead. He uses the W to get on out, waiting for another engage to come through from Cream, waiting for that shifting stance to come off the cooldown. The bullet time comes up. Beige One does not have an escape, but Knight on the backside going to take down Chris. Cream going in at a 2v1 situation, but now top esports might have over-indexed a little bit here with Knight still at full HP and still having that charm availability. Dashes forward, not landing it in, but now Cream can go for the play himself, landing a lot of damage with those auto attacks and forcing Knight back to base.
Yeah, that play from Crisp, hiding in the brush, it took the summoner spells away from Elk, who was down cleanse, down flash, and BLG being pretty far up on the map. Great angle from 369 to really put Elk and BLG in a bad spot and find a kill, but they can't take any major objectives off that. Baron spawning in 5 seconds. We can see this has to deal with the map, deal with the inhibitors being down, and BLG are the ones that still have control.
Now, they've kept things interesting. It looked like BLG were about to run away with this game, but Elk getting caught out, getting that big shutdown onto Jackie Love, and all of a sudden, with this Baron still available, with a potential Soul Dragon up in a minute 30, it could be top esports coming back into this one, but look at Beishwan. He found a potential flank. He dashes in, finds a knock up onto Cream. The charm to follow as well. He's forced to go golden early, but he still has that ultimate at his disposal if he needs to use it. It finds 3 members. Kanavi's still massive on the front line, but here comes Bin, and finally the Yorick arrived in the team fight that BLG can take control over. Sion's going to have to use the choo-choo train out defensively, and it's just going to be him in a 1v3. 0 chance for top, as BLG going to take a commanding 2-0 lead in this best of 5. Former teammates going to be 1v1ing each other on that side lane, but it's going to be Bin and Elk to finish the job and send Billy game into match point.
Elk and On have been too damn big in this series, Grapes, as that one sure as hell looks like a bot gap to me. Lucian Rel being massive. Elk was fantastic in that game. And for a series that, again, we pitched as being pretty close coming in, it's been all BLGs so far.
It was a close game. Don't get us wrong here. But top esports really throwing away what should have been a pretty easy to control game number 2. They let their early game counterparts get just way too far ahead with some severe positioning errors, and it resulted in Elk getting just way too strong to handle. Beishwan finding a massive engage there to win that eventual game-clinching fight.
And look, like the BLG draft, I just feel like they executed their win cons better. When you take a look in top esports, we're seeing these weird mistakes from them of like overextending in side lanes, misplaying how they manage the side lanes. That's really when top esports is at their best. That's some of the stuff that they do to actually play their best in the mid to late game with how they play the macro around the map. Like, we're used to seeing more moments where 369 was able to actually attack Elk being down sums rather than, you know, Cream and the team getting stuck and caught out in the side lane. And BLG's ability to bounce back in that game after that third Dragon fight, where I really felt like it was the demise of BLG going into this game 3 1-1. BLG has been the better team so far today, and at the moment, this kind of has feelings of a 3-0, Grapes.
If top esports don't lock in right now, it's going to be that, because BLG, as you mentioned, have been the better team on the day, and that's not necessarily surprising, but it's surprising that it's this one-sided, at least so far. I mean, game number 1 never really particularly close. I mean, it was tight for the first 20 minutes, but as soon as that one fight happened, it was BLG that controlled it all the way to the end. There were some moments where Top Esports felt like they were coming back into this one. There are moments where it felt like they were in winning positions, but yeah, BLG still able to take a good handle of things here and showing why they actually had the best record in the second round robin. It wasn't Top after Beishuan came in. It was actually BLG at 8-1.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, Elk and On, what we've seen from them so far in this series has been disgusting. Look at that damage chart, Elk. I think we're rewarding the boom boom damage with another pog here, as I've been disappointed so far with Jackie Love and Top Esports. I know that we've pitched that Jackie Love isn't playing quite as well in the second round robin. We came into the series saying that, hey, we feel like his champion pool has been a little bit narrower from what we've seen from other ADs, something that we're really not used to saying about Jackie Love. And one of his really effective champs in the MF just wasn't able to, with his team, execute that early game well enough. I loved how BLG played out the first 8 minutes. I feel like the rotations that they had really did set Top Esports behind. I know we aren't going to see a bunch of that as we're busting out into the fights, but I believe this is the fight they won hard because they didn't go on to Cream, and from there, we just never really found a 5v5 where Top Esports had control, and we got a front to back. Everything else after this was BLG playing with Fog, like finding picks, finding advantage, playing with numbers. And they were up 3k gold from here with an Azir, with a Scion. Like, you have good scaling, and they threw in the way they did. That's pretty concerning.
It's no coincidence that that was the last 5v5 that we saw. It's not just like, oh, it so happened that there were no more fights. It's BLG playing the map to perfection and making sure that Top Esports were always in uncomfortable positions, whether it was them starting off engages or isolating certain targets or making sure that they're weaving in and out of fights instead of fully diving in for them. It results in certain advantages going here. This is the start of that downfall for TES, as they found these kills and immediately, I think, followed up with that play on the bot side.
Yeah, that Knight TP, it was trying to be canceled. It was not. And then, yeah, this is Cream and Chris running for the hills. And, man, and the replay, too, I know that Elk, of course, on the Lucian, he was flashy with the boom boom damage, but what a rel game from On, too, Grapes.
Yeah, 100% kill participation, by the way. So we don't see that very often. That might be enough to get him MVP over Elk, but, I mean, everybody on BLG really
was he really 100% KP?
Yeah.
I might have to give that to. I thought On was just brilliant in this game. And again, the gap we're seeing between him and Crisp and then Elk and Jackie Love, like, I'm not used to seeing like 1v1 gaps that are this big at this level. And we have really seen the bot lane of BLG just smoke Top Esports today.
Oh, the cinematic replay on the recall showing just how close Jackie Love was to the bush. And this was, I think, the backbreaker, because it seemed like maybe there was a world where Top Esports were going to come back after that. But, I mean, just way too well played for BLG. Another nice stun from On that sets up the culling to just completely 100-0 Crisp, who had himself a bit of a rough one. And that was it, basically.
The flash into the wall to get the double tap, too. How beautiful was that from Elk? I know that he ended up going down after burning those sums. It was a nice angle from Crisp, but, man, what a fantastic game from Elk and BLG. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough the difference that we're seeing between these bot lanes. And when you have that, again, we really threw down, like, hey, you got to focus on Cream. Cream has to be the focus. Last team fight executed beautifully. They find the Azir right off the bat. Cream can't play the game from there, and that makes a pretty for a pretty one-sided victory from BLG. And what's felt like a one-sided series so far. Any plays we've seen from Top Esports to get themselves into the game have pretty much instantly been gifted back. When you think about that third dragon into the sequence in Game 2, and even Game 1, that really positive start to the game where they just chucked on the dive.
It's BLG off to a commanding lead, looking like the team that made it all the way to that World Finals last year, that won MSI, that just had so many accomplishments in 2024. It didn't seem like we saw it fully come to fruition in Split 1. Definitely some struggles at the start of Split number 2. But ever since Beishuan's come in, they've been off and running here as we are awaiting our player of the game for this second matchup. I would hope that it's going towards On, because, yeah, the bot lane has been the difference maker here.
You know what it must have been? Oh, it is. You know what it had to have been, Grapes? The fact that we played a Mickey X Rel MOBA Trainer puzzle.
True.
Before we started this one, as I'm squeezing in yet another sponsor shout out that wasn't even required from me, because we just love MOBA Trainer that much. But hey, you caught out 100% KP. Look at On, 100% KP in this game. he was fantastic on the rel. I know that Elk was really flashy with the boom boom damage, but I feel like, kind of in hindsight, really well-deserved Pog from On is cannot emphasize enough how good the bot lane of BLG has been so far today.
Elk and On, two players that have, I think historically, or at least this split, kind of had some inconsistencies, specifically during BLG struggles, which is why maybe on the All-Pro ballots they don't rank as high.
I snuck On in for mine. I sadly had Crispin on mine too, and that doesn't look too hot. But you know, we're gonna move. I think I had Kyle on
FTX right
and
there.
then Crisp. Sorry, Jouet.
Yeah, those are the top 4. But I mean,
yeah,
it's very clear that as we've seen in years past, when Elk and On are on form, they're one of the best bot lanes in the world, and we're seeing that in play against TES. The #1 seed down to match point and going to have to reverse sweep their way into the upper bracket final. We'll see if that journey starts now or if BLG are going to shut the door when we come back from this short break here on LPL English. Welcome back, everybody, to LPL English. We have Game 3 about to begin between Top Esports and BLG. And right now, our #1 seeds going into the postseason looking like they're in severe danger of dropping down into that lower bracket. BLG have been the better team on the day, Cubby. And if they look good here, should be very easy trip to that upper bracket final.
It's been rough for Top Esports. I mean, even just like combing through the game, I feel like I'm finding more mistakes than what was a really hectic game. Even that end game fight, like, why are we catching the wave that high under mid-outer when we have 2 inhibs down? Like, it's looked really grim for Top Esports. And the few times we've actually seen them make good plays in the series just feels like they've been allergic to making 2 good plays in a row. And have been really scattered in a way that we're not used to seeing from this team. Not since we saw them at first stand, quite frankly. So it's been grim.
It's flashes of good stuff for TES, which I feel like is, for the most part, what I've thought about their regular season, where they always are able to kind of right the ship and come back, even if they have some inconsistencies here or there, including a 2-0 loss to BLG just a couple of weeks ago in the regular season. So 4 straight wins for BLG in this specific matchup against Top, dating back to the second half of that round robin.
Yeah, and of course, this series, you know, I think it's really cool, both Knight and Jakulov going for the 9th final in this playoff format. Of course, if you win here, you are guaranteed a top 3 finish, which very important given that top 2, you go to EWC and MSI. So having 2 best-of-5s to try and make those tournaments, pretty big.
Yeah, and while it does seem grim for Top Esports, there still is the possibility of just taking it one game at a time. I know that we have an NA-based cast here today on LPL English, but EU fans remember that reverse sweeps have been a part of Top Esports history in the past.
Nice.
All I'm saying, I could throw out the strays now that we're here.
Good shot, Grapes. You know, I'm not going to get too fanatic over that one with you, but, you know, that's all right. I got to say, I think that, like, if you are a Top Esports fan, you can at least look at the bot lane performance and be like, okay, this has not been good, and if things go better for Jakulov and Chris, like, can we play from there? But there's also just the team disconnect that we've seen today at a few points with, I mean, whatever the hell that sequence was after they took the 3rd dragon, or even before that, you know, as well. Like, they're just 2 sequences that we're seeing, Grapes, or at least in that game, or multiple sequences we're seeing from Top Esports where we're scratching our heads up here. Like, we haven't seen this from the team all year. This is the team that we feel like has pretty good mid-game macro, especially in the LPL, and usually avoids those mistakes and are able to play objective setups better than other teams. But the chaos of BLG in that last comp, it rained and creamed. The player that really needed to carry that last one, I feel like the team griefed him by not taking one fight around him that they needed to. But then that play that he made in the night with burning the ult and then burning the flash and dying in that side lane, that's quite grim when you have a lead that big. Not to mention the final fight where Top just should not have been on that mid wave, and he got one tapped by the combo that we had from BLG. So, been pretty grim. If BLG will win 3 blue side games or red side games in the Top Esports,
that'd be crazy.
Pretty surprising, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even for TES, like, we can criticize Jakulov and Chris all we want. Sure, they have not had the best series so far. You know, Cream making a couple fumbles here and there, but it really is up to the whole team because, as you mentioned, if the carries are not set up for success, then they can't look like they're succeeding. And I want to see Kanavi, 369 step it up as well. And of course, seeing Jakulov and Chris maybe make some fewer mistakes here. It's a good Nefiri ban for BLG. I would have loved an early pickup of that as we continue to narrow down that jungle pool. So it's going to be the Yone instead here for Cream.
Yeah, that Yone has been banned all series. Definitely a Cream specialty. Deciding to ban the 6-0 Nefiri of Kanavi, a champ that Beishuan's yet to play with BLG, and let the Yone through. Curious now, I mean, just Sejuani Akali. I gotta believe there's gonna be a Sejuani slam from Beishuan coming out here.
It'd be a great denial from Top Esports because you know that they're gonna be selecting it if it does not go through. Or BLG can just say, okay, you guys can have it. We're going to try to find some priority somewhere else. There's no Nico available alongside this Kalista, but the Renata is there. And so that could be the lane dominant 2v2 opened up here for Elkinon. We saw them do a good job on the Lucian lane last time around. Now they'll get another ability or another opportunity to have some impact early.
I was about to say, they're kind of daring Jakulov to play Ashe here. He is 3-0 in Ashe, and Jakulov is an elite Ashe player. So that would be the pick for him. Are we dipping into some potential BLG, or I should say Thunder Talk tech? When Beishuan was over there, it was Feather playing a lot of Seraphine. With this Ashe, of course, the W slow means you get the early root on the single E. That's going to be quite nice here. Top Esports going to need a front line later on, but this is a double lane counter in the bot lane for Top Esports.
A little bit surprised to see them opt away from the Sejuani. I feel like that and the Yone are kind of locked step hand in hand. Like, if you can't really play, it's not often that you see one play without the other. So they are dropping that to the second phase, where it likely will get banned away by BLG. But it seems like Top Esports want to make sure that JackeyLove and Crisp are not put in a horrible position into this Kalista Renata lane, and so instead prioritize getting them some push and getting them some comfort.
I like that there'll be a ban a lot here. I still feel like we're missing frontline, as likely that we see a Kali and potentially even a Silas ban as well, aimed at Knight. As do we end up seeing a Trundle ban here? Maybe. I don't think it's the front line that like Top really needs, but you could ban. Okay, Nidalee going to be taken away for Bin.
Wow.
As you still kind of need some more magic damage if you're Top Esports, if BLG does get tankier. Also would love to see some setup come in from BLG. I think you have a real choice here between banning the Silas or even like a Galio, though. I know Galio and the Yone is not ideal, but Ambessa Galio to get backline access and synergize with Renata Circle is pretty big here.
It's going to be the Silas instead. We'll see if Knight goes for that Galio pick, or if they try to deny the Sejuani here on 4, now that it has been unbanned in that second phase. It's very surprising to see it fall this far in terms of the draft. Once that Yone was first picked, but it looks like they finally will lock it in for Beishuan. I mean, this is another pick that he had a lot of good experience on, especially on Thunder Talk this year with Seitab being such a prolific Yone player himself.
Yeah, I do feel like the Akali and Silas ban, it does really nerf the Sejuani combos you can play into Yone, where with Silas Akali, you can actually hard win this lane with the help of a winning jungle matchup, but I like the fact that Top Esports did ban those two and then gave away the Sejuani. I think Trundle's a real option here for Kanavi, which does look to be the choice. It does make life a lot harder on Kalista as well. And then we'll see if it just ends up being like a 369 Gragas. So they feel like they need magic damage on the top side.
Something like Aurora is available too, if you want a little bit more magic damage, but then you're really sacrificing frontline, as it's going to be the Trundle locked in to steal away some of Beishuan's resistances and create a really good dual threat here in the
this
isolated
is doable,
1v1.
actually. Yeah, okay. Just play tanky. I guess we're really going to try and set up for JackeyLove on the Ashe, which I think, to be fair, is doable this game. If you peel for him early on and he's able to kind of get going. Oh.
No way.
Play the Blanc Knight. I actually think LB is really good this game.
What we talked about as well. I mean, we don't love talking about hovers all the time. I know that, you know, specifically, there are some players like Care who have some good experience on things like that, but instead it's going to be the Aurora, so the more boring option, but a good composition nonetheless for BLG.
There was a lot of conditional CC that I think the Blanc would have thrived in, but instead it's going to be that Knight Aurora. Definitely gives you a little bit of lane dominance and push into that Yone early on, and I think that's a really big key when you are playing the Trundle. For me, a lot of the power of Trundle is being able to actually invade and get up in the face of the enemy jungler early on. Of course, Beishuan, we're going to have to see if he goes for the Unsealed Spellbook or the Phase Rush or the Fleet, as you don't want to go Aftershock going into the Trundle, as of course he's going to yoink away your resistances anyway. So I gave him more. But I got to say, it's a lot more of a stock standard comp that we have on BLG. I do like the fact, though, at least as Top Esports, they should have a winning bot lane between the Ashe and the Seraphine. Going to take a couple levels for them to get going. I'm worried about Trundle being able to invade, which I think adds to a lot of his strength as a champion. But do you think this Ashe could be set up for success later on?
I'm very curious to see what the bot push situation looks like here for TES. If JackeyLove and Crisp are able to get that early advantage, it could result in Kanavi getting some counter jungling in, and that's where you start that snowball for a potential start of reverse sweep. It's going to be a long uphill battle for our #1 seed, our defending champions in Top Esports, to make their way to the grand finals the old-fashioned way through the upper bracket. However, we still, have seen them go through lower bracket runs in the past, and even with that being said, BLG's composition looking very good in their own right. They are looking for 3 straight games on red side, won for them, to lock themselves a spot in the top 3, putting themselves just one best of 5 away from MSI. Let's get out of the rift for game number 3. Seems like the winning team has the Jayo advantage, not super surprised.
It feels like the Beijing buff for Kanavi. Something he was specifically talking about from his time with JDG and how much he liked that town and playing there.
Hey, 369 has some experience there too.
Yeah, it has not been good for Kanavi so far. But hey, this matchup again, a little bit surprised to see Beishwan actually taking the Aftershock still, going into the Trundle. But we're going to have to see what Kanavi can get done as Trundle in this one. As Trundle, his ability to skirmish, it's real. And with, oh boy, BLG is sending at least 3 to make sure they get that ward down safely. It does look like Beishwan's going to be starting on this bot side. With, yeah, have Jackov and Crisp up in this lane first. That is good. Again, it is double ranged. And the way that you can counter Renata is through Enchantresses. So I think important that Top Esports able to catch this wave high to actually get some push going. And try and maybe open up a world or an angle where you could have Trundle cross and invade. But him starting on the blue buff makes that one look a little bit less likely for me.
Yeah, good vision set up by BLG to make sure that Kanavi is unable to really get an invade in without being spotted. As again, this is what the stakes are here for this matchup. Of course, there's going to have to be one best-of-5 one after this, but both Jackie11 and Knight, these two big stalwarts in the LPL, looking for their 9th finals appearance each.
It is pretty crazy, especially the fact that Knight, if you skip out on Split 1, he has won 4 finals in a row outside of Split 1, so looking to resume that streak here with BLG, who I think a lot of BLG obviously themselves hoping they go international, but also a lot of LPL fans hoping that they represent this region internationally, as the success of Bin and Knight and these guys, you know, being able to win MSIs, right? Being able to compete at the highest level does really feel like BLG, unless they meet T1 at Worlds, they have been one of the hardest teams to actually knock out of the tournament. So
that's been their kryptonite so far, but you know, one step at a time for BLG. It's got to start with them making the international. They did not do that the first time around, which again resulted in Top Esports going instead. As it was a lower bracket, I think quarterfinal, that they ran into each other because BLG started off in the lower bracket and Top Esports dropped down pretty early. Yeah. It was a little bit earlier than expected to see those two teams down there. Actually, I think both teams started in the lower bracket because I'm pretty sure AL got the win over them, over TES in the group stage. So that is why they met so early on. But it was Top Esports that won that series 3-1 after BLG had a lot of positive momentum. So already BLG, though, have taken the first 2 games. But, you know, we have seen situations in the past where TS are able to regain control and lock back in.
If it's going to happen, it's going to have to happen off the back of Kanavi, who is the MVP of the regular split and season as Knight.
He already needs his jump.
Slow. He'll be okay. He's going to get on out of here. He's got help with Beishwan too, as it's just a handshake in the jungle. Knight with the Aurora has that push early in the matchup. And just going to make sure that things are even so far between our junglers. Is on flashed, but missed. Hit the minion on the handshake. Couldn't get Crisp or Jackylove under the turret.
Yeah, On went for the handshake, and the minion did the thing where you reach for it and then go for the hair. You know,
hero minion.
A little psych out, yeah. So, not going well there in the bot lane for BLG, as it is Jackylove getting that significant farm advantage, of course, with the advantageous 2v2, which is what we wanted to see for Top Esports. Jackylove has not performed to our level that we need him to if Top Esports want to win this series, and so getting him off to a good start is big. Knight still has his flash and a lot of jumps at his disposal. Will use the flash to go over the wall. It's actually going to be matched by Kanavi, who lands the chop for a little bit of extra slows. Now with Knight having 0 mobility, it's going to be Cream dashing forward and picking up first blood for TES.
Great visit from Kanavi. They saw that his ward was on the bot side. He approached from the top side as that wave was in, and that's a timer where, you know, you can see Beishwan on his Gromp right now. That's an expected timer where the jungler is going to base, reset, and hit his camps, but Kanavi's sticking around. It's a big win. We'll have to catch up with his camps, but now we have the bot lane of BLG swapping to try and get out of this matchup, but they're going to guess wrong. As 369, he's going to show his face bot, and Elkanon going to get the bad news. They're still stuck with Jackylove and Crisp in this matchup, who again got to the wave first from level 1 and have utilized this double range bot lane really well. Like, I expect this matchup to be ahead, but they're even ahead of the curve where I would expect them to be ahead in.
Yeah, I mean, really playing this nicely. Obviously, there is the inherent dyssynergy with Renata into Enchantresses and the like, but looks like so far things are going very nicely for this Ashe Seraphine lane. They did have to trade heals there, as an aggressive play did go forward for BLG.
Beishwan's coming up. We do have a mirrored clear in the jungle. Beishwan clearing away from that bot lane right off the bat, because I think he was really scared of like Trundle going red buff invade, which I don't blame Beishwan for, but now This is at least one Summoner Spell being down for top esports, and if Beishuan gets involved up here, keep in mind Kanavi's a little bit behind on this clear. The fact that he stuck around for that mid gank and also... okay, I was going to say, also just clearing the other side of the map, but looks like Beishuan not interested in that. Instead, might have to help Knight here in the mid lane.
Yeah, so nice advantage opened up for Cream as well. Because remember, this was the R5 selected by Knight, the counter matchup, theoretically, although not necessarily playing for lane, more playing for that late game where, you know, it is a bit more of a backline damage threat, especially as Elk starts to fall off a little bit on the Callista. But for top esports, they're feeling very good about how this early game has been situated for themselves. Now Kanavi looking for a play potentially on the bot side. Call the Forge God, gonna come out, knock Bin up, and he actually gets the dash canceled initially. And the Searing Charge is coming through. Looks like Bin should be dead here. Using Public Execution in onto Kanavi to try to buy a little bit more distance. But the pillar comes in. It's followed in by a flash, and they're waiting for Beishuan to arrive. Glacial Prison lands onto Kanavi. He does not have the subjugate available. Finally using it with the Aftershock Sedge. He's going to keep the Shredder alive. Searing Charge again from 369 will land onto both members and delay the initial play. But nice job by BLG to make sure that Bin does not go down.
And that should just be the Dragon now being taken by Beishuan. As I feel like that's the option, or just what's up next is Knight.
Oh,
good sidestep, and Cream
not finding too much, and Cream just goes down. The Fate Seal dodged away from. That was all too easy. Coming through for
Our boy
Knight.
just got fathered by the LPL GOAT Knight. I don't know what else to say there, Cream, but I fear that you got your Yone, despite the bans of the Akali and the Silas, and the gank from your friend. That was not played well by Cream, who Alta didn't have anything to snap back to, and that was a one-way trip.
And that allows for Beishuan to pick up that first Dragon. So what looked like a good sequence for top esports, you know, allowing for Kanavi to get that first kill mid, turns pretty rough. As it's a nice dodge from Knight overall.
I mean, there's a world where you can just Auron out of there as Cream, but he wanted to try and flip for blood, and he flips tails down as that Cream went sour.
Yeah. Now still a little bit ahead, but given the fact that he got that first blood, you would hope that Cream would have been in a good position to succeed. But just a little misplay there from our young mid laner results in him going right back to even against one of the best mid laners that we have here in the LPL.
Well, you can say the best, Grapes. It's okay. We both voted for him for MVP.
Yes, we did. As,
yeah, we did.
The Cubs are going to be kited away from here by Kanavi as well. The Subjugate is back off of cooldown, and the Hawkshot's going to spot them out. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is available for Jackie Love. He has a lot of pick potential. Kanavi biding his time with the Smite and being able to make sure that TES get up 2 for 1 in that department.
Yeah, Beishuan missed the Smite. Isn't able to find the combo there as we're going to return to our lanes. Knight going to be up a level now on the Cream.
We missed 2 Qs.
Yeah, Knight's been really good with the sidesteps there so far. Again, this matchup, when you're in your E form, you got to be able to try and pressure the Aurora, but that bonus move speed from the kit, that E-hop at slow, can be used really nicely to try and space things out. So far so good there for Knight. As it is looking like it's an E-max from him in this matchup. This makes some sense. You can't guarantee its connection with some of the frames of Yone, like with the Q3s and those likes. Speaking of Yone, Cream, see if you can buffer this.
Round 2, and this time it's Beishuan here first, getting into that bush perfectly. Hey, maybe that ultimate was a little bit unnecessary for Knight, but we're going to take the kill nonetheless.
I mean, between worlds, it sealed the fate of the Yone.
There we go.
As
that's what we get paid the big bucks for.
Yeah, sent him to another realm.
Yep.
Got him.
Put him in a glacial prison.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sadly, you know, Cream has paid the big bucks to win video games, and that has not been happening so far. As he did get his Yone that was banned away in the first 2 games, but again, we have seen with Fearless Draft and Best of Fives, a lot of teams starting to change up their bans to just plan out how they want to open in these drafts, and seen this not pay off so far. On doesn't have 6 yet, so yeah, I don't think they can do the combo. That's a little unfortunate. Wonder how close he was in XP to 6. 2 creeps away.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that if he had 6, that actually works out really well for BLG and Elk, but he did not. Top Esports playing up, knowing that 6 wasn't available, able to get away with that one.
And so BLG have themselves another early game lead. But Top Esports, they have the advantage that they wanted in the bottom side of things. Elk and On have not really been able to do too much, although there have been situations where maybe Jackie Love and Chris have stepped up a little bit too far and result in them, you know, being in situations that they probably shouldn't be, but getting bailed out by just having the stronger champions at the moment. But the rest of the map so far, going very much towards BLG. Bin has a 20 CS gap. I mean, it's been Beishwan finding plays early, and Knight overall outplaying Cream in this side lane now as they have rotated up top.
I am kind of curious to see what happens with some of the rotations coming in here. Kanavi, again, Trinity 4 is pretty expensive first item. Beishwan with a kill, actually out on the map early with a Heartsteel and about to get his free boots too, as Cream's under threat yet again. He can buffer out of this Glacial Prison, but we'll see if that trade ends up being mid.
Yeah, actually waiting for Jackie and Chris to arrive here. With the threat of that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, force him to go back, and on the backside of things, a nice buffer from Bin with the public execution to make sure that Call the Forge God does not connect. But now without any extra mobility, it's going to be the Pillar doing a ton of work on to Bin. Kanavi with the Subjugate, going to continue to hunt him down with that Pillar. One more chomp will seal the deal as Top Esports even up that kill count at 2 for now. Teleport coming in from Knight to clear out this mid wave. And now 369, he maybe walked the wrong way on, flashing over the wall to make sure that a kill is imminent. And 369 will go down as the Feats of Warfare go towards Billy.
They couldn't get Callista involved in that one, but at least able to turn things around. Bin has the flash in the gray screen, but that was not available for him to get out of the play. It's a well-timed gank from Top Esports. They find the rinse and repeat and give 369 a little bit of reprieve, because now that matchup in isolation, it's kind of been all Bin at the moment.
369, we should have walked with Kanavi out of that fight, but instead,
probably, yeah,
pathing towards the wave right into the teleport of Knight. Just wasn't reading that play properly. And results in basically a free kill going over in what should have been a 1-for-0 situation that also should have given Cream time to hit away at this turret and get himself back into the game himself.
I know Bin in this lane. He has an Eclipse and can actually really push around Cream at the moment, who has no access to Vamp. And with that going on, Bin, of course, has access to the TP. He's going to win out on that side lane matchup and could play for this Dragon, too.
Yeah, Kanavi's top is gone.
Yeah. Oh.
Arrow. As the fight does begin, he finds it on to Bin. Gonna be matched up by the Fate Seal, but the damage still might not be enough.
Oh my God.
A solo bolo for Gigabin as he shakes his head saying, what the hell are you guys thinking?
I mean, I feel like that's been me this entire night, Grapes. What the hell is Top Esports thinking? Like, that's not a winning play. Nope. You have Eclipse on Bin versus... What was it? Like, we just had a Vamp Scepter and a Pickaxe bought by Cream. He had his Summoner spells up. And that's the play. That's the attempt. I mean, I know that we're playing away from the Dragon, but... I mean, Cream just cannot play like this in these big games. And this has been the biggest criticism of Cream.
Oh, okay.
Bin's on out of there. And, like, Cream just hasn't shown up big in big games internationally. And again, like, we set up this mid-jungle duo as... Cream's still kind of looking to prove himself. Beishwan, for sure. This is the biggest series that Beishwan's ever played in. But going up against Knight and Kanavi, like, these are the MVP candidates we have in the LPL. I just felt like Knight's performance has been more impactful. What we've seen from Kanavi is... I do not get the train of thought with this one. Like, item-wise, we are so down as Top Esports.
The mis-synergy here is the snapback comes through as soon as the arrow connects.
He was the damage.
Cream's unable to get some extra autos in there.
You just get fathered.
Combos him as soon as the ult comes in, yeah.
He couldn't stack up the Qs either, because like he was in the R thing, right? If you're like able to Q3 and then maybe comb it. But again, you're sitting on over like almost 1,500 gold as Cream. I think it was 1,300. The fact that he bought a pickaxe and 550 for the Vamp, right? So at least 1,300 you're sitting on. And going into an Eclipse Bin, who was like ahead in this matchup. Like, yes, it's been attempted to set him behind with the help of Kanavi, but left alone to the 1v1. I mean, Bin's been really big. It's been a weird day from Top Esports, man.
Uncharacteristic so far. They're going to find another play. They were on a ward, clearing that out.
Brother.
And Cream just disrespecting the might have been in Beishwan.
I mean, this is the Yone that has been banned for 2 games, and rightfully so against Cream. Cream is a very talented Yone and melee player. And, I mean, this series, like, Top Esports haven't been able to put it together. The first few games, it really has been the bot lane just getting completely gapped. And now Cream just getting kind of team gapped here. As he's pretty far behind. And this Yone is just not going to be a threat in the side lane, Grapes. It's going to be a problem. As that hostile takeover, going to be the hostile takeover of the Rift Herald. Insured for BLG, but... Goddamn, Grapes, we were hoping to get a banger series tonight. It's just been all BLG as Top Esports hasn't showed up.
It's very disappointing because we were expecting both sides to come in at the top of their game. The #1 regular season team overall versus... Again, the team with the best record over their past 10 series in BLG. But that has not been the case here, as Billy are just looking a little bit better all the way through. And I mean, we can't even say like Cream has been getting outplayed by Knight necessarily, because Knight's barely been involved in half of these.
Oh,
sure,
he's been outplaying himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, you're running into the MVP. I mean, these are just mistakes coming through from a young player that has found success in spurts here for Top Esports, but we're still waiting for him to fully come to form.
A good slow connecting from Jackie up there as he makes that one look pretty... Oh, he did look
He
that.
clicks forward. The Ren stacks are going to come through. Elky cleanses away from that Encore and will send a Jackie Love right back to base. Another kill picked up at 6-2 BLG. And this game's getting out of hand real quick, Cubby.
You know, it really feels like... Oh, okay, we got around the pillar. That was actually kind of cute. It really feels like the international hate watchers of Top Esports got their wish today. I'm so puzzled, Grapes, because it feels like throughout this whole split, we've seen Top Esports just kind of like ensure, like, no, we do deserve to be on that international stage, right?
Not yet. Not right now. There's still some work to be done for TES2.
They don't deserve to be on this stage. They deserve to be in the lower bracket right now, Grapes.
Well, they could be going right back down there. I mean, even in terms of their playoff performances going, like, based off of just a couple of days ago, they were up against FPX in that first round, and they made that series a little bit too competitive, I think. Like, there was a very good chance that that one went to 5 if the like early game, or sorry, the late game went a little bit better for
sometimes when you play Diana and Viego mid, you know, it just be like that. With time's not your friend. Was enough there for Top Esports to overcome, but this play on the side, a lot of power down here at Knight. No TP. And BLG for sure see this one coming.
They need a win, and they need one quickly. They might find one here onto On. Fate Seal does connect here onto Elk. He has the bailout on top of him, so that means that Knight will be able to get one back. Here's the public execution for Fate. It goes in onto the back line. Elk finally going to go down, and it comes right at the perfect moment. Call the force right in. Cream's at 1 HP. It gets taken down by the W over the wall by Beishuan, and it's 4 down already for Top Esports. This is a 3v1 open up for 369. BLG controlling this fight around the Dragon, and they're going to get their third of the game.
Another Dragon secured. Been a big theme from BLG in this series too. It helps when your bot lane's playing well, but the Dragon control has continued for Beishuan and friends as these timers have been sound. And I gotta say, this fight was a little bit hectic. Okay, we're gonna take a look at how Jackie Love died. Why click back?
Don't click. Yeah, that was a bad click.
Why'd you go for the auto? Like, you could have walked away. Jackie Love had, unfortunately, a classic Jackie Love moment. Now, sums were burned here by Elk, so this is the target early on for Top Esports. I don't mind this. It's a decent idea. It's a decent start, too, for Cream. This is actually a good find from him and Jackie Love. But he lived.
They're waiting for the bailout to expire. So, maybe, but it seemed like Top Esports, they had to go for one or the other. Go for Elk or On.
Yeah.
Given the state that they were in, and they tried to go for both, and it cost them a lot.
And, I mean, Cream snapped back. He was taken out by Beishuan and Knight. We had Bin join, and Bin is just massive right now. He's ahead of the game, and Bin was able to squeeze out of there with plenty of health. It looked a little bit low, but you're invested with a flash up, man. He was chilling. That kind of feels like where BLG's at right now. I know we haven't really teased the scaling of this game. I do prefer the scaling that we have on Top Esports, but these plays we've seen attempted have been so grim. And when Top Esports at their best playing with scaling Grapes, they are able to make a few plays happen where it's like, okay, we got a Drake, we got some time, right? We can actually play out from there. And this is not... I mean, first off, not the identity we're seeing from Top Esports, right? We talked about the early game, or full court press, as On's going to go for this one, actually.
And a huge between worlds from Knight as well. The weirding does so much damage. Chris is already dead. Bailout on to save him. Kanavi can't even find the kill onto the Renata. Cream going forward here with the bait sealed, but there's just not enough DPS whatsoever. It is a triple kill picked up for Elk, a fourth picked up for Knight, and 369's looking at everyone saying, what's happening, guys?
I mean, like, why are we taking these fights? You have Ashe, Seraphine, Yone. It feels so unwarranted that we're fishing like this as Top Esports. And yeah, poor 369, it feels like he's just been, like, him and Kanavi have played fine in this series. But what's happened with this mid and bot lane of Top Esports is sadly kind of a return to international form that we saw recently. Is why are we looking for this fight? I don't really understand. I mean, Cream asked to TP in, 369 asked to Joy All. BLG are here first. And it's a fight in a window where, again, I still feel like BLG are just much stronger, and you actually have scaling options and can play a little bit of scaling as top. But I don't really see or I can't visualize if timers are even looking to play on. It's like, oh, the support's down flash. Let's give it a go. That's the least valuable member. Like, why?
And this is the biggest lead that we've seen at this stage in the game for a single team, one way or the other, and certainly towards BLG at this point. Over 6K is the advantage. They have Soul Point, the Soul spawning in 2.5 minutes time. And Top Esports know they got to go for a play quick, or else this game and this series is just over. They're going to go onto that tier 1 turret. Knight going to be taken down most likely, but able to dip, dodge, and away for a long time. Finally getting Kanavi the kill.
But now?
They bought enough time for the rest of the team to arrive.
Yep.
Jackie Love in a lot of trouble. Ren is sending Kanavi down to 1 HP. And it should be the eventual wipe here of this team fight. 369 not able to find anything with that Ornhorn. And Beishuan just locking up all of Top Esports, putting them in a prison of their own mentals. As it's going to be another 4 kills picked up for BLG.
I mean, they're able to pick up 2 pity prizes, so actually slingshot some gold back, but I mean, the ugliness kind of continues here for Top Esports. As the thing about this team is that usually, like, their setups, how they play sides, like objectives, you can always see the idea. I think that's what I'm most disappointed about in this game 3 is I really don't see the idea behind the majority of the plays we're seeing from Top. In a game where, again, I feel like time is not terrible for them. Like, you have a Trundle that steals stats. You have an Ornn. You can see what Yone can do in side lanes later on, but sadly, this is all Cream has done in the side lanes.
Nice
He's going down.
From Bin. Yep,
like,
it's just...
What is this?
Hey, we're getting close to the 110 power spike right now for Cream. That's all I'll say. So, you know, maybe he's trying to get there. It's not looking good.
I just feel like, you know, the scene from Anchorman where he says milk was a bad choice. I feel that way about Cream, just because A, Cream jokes, but B, like half the plays we've seen is just, it's been a bad choice from Cream.
Yeah, and just how do you bounce back from this if you're Top Esports? I mean, it was a weird series against FPX, but you're like, okay, you know, we still won. Demolished by BLG.
We are down 2 levels. So far.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm really perplexed by this.
Bin knew he was winning, right? He walked towards the Soul Unbound again, and I mean, it wasn't even close.
That's some like definite teammates gameplay. You get Q3 and Auron out of there, by the way. Yeah, that's a weird one.
I don't have many other explanations. If you're looking for the high tier analysis, I mean, that first of all, it's your job. But second of all, nothing I can provide there. As we have this dragon spawning, going to be the Soul picked up for BLG unless Top Esports do anything about it. It seems like they're going to put all their eggs into the basket of this one team fight. Down 6,000 gold and looking for the engage. They finally knock up onto On, but there's not enough damage just yet. It's going to be the Soul picked up here for BLG. Ornhorn finding 2, but Beishuan is still massive here on this front line in between worlds, doing so much damage. Knight dashes in. Public execution on a Cream will take him down once more. And Jackie Love isolated and executed by the side of Billy Gaming. It's going to be Knight dashing forward. Chris the final target. 5-0 ace picked up for BLG.
BLG, man, they look back. They're going to take this game and make it so that they have 2 opportunities to make it to MSI and EWC. And honestly, look like they're on the fast track to get back to form when it comes to them and Knight. And those 4 domestic titles straight that he wasn't able to find in Split 1. As this series that we had hyped up coming into the night, Graves, man, it's a library out there. I mean, if you're a Top Esports fan.
It's just over. I mean, Cream's up in 5 seconds. The Nexus already exposed. The hottest team in the LPL, adding fuel to the fire here in a 3-0 sweep over the defending champions. Billy Gaming locked themselves a spot in top 3.
Wow, I was expected to be done 2 hours and 30 minutes into the series. That was, wow. Top Esports, man. I mean, I kind of feel for this team because, again, like, as casters, we watch these guys domestically, and it's like, oh, we feel like this team's decent, like they can put things together. But then the international fans, of course, they have some beef against Top Esports, rightfully so. It felt like BLG gave all the international fans the wish they wanted as they take down Top Esports in the bracket, take one step closer to representing the LPL at those international tournaments. And Top Esports have to dig deep, man, because like I am depressed for them watching this this series.
I mean, I don't even know, like, there's 0 shining lights in that game 3.
It was
the
like
first 2 games, there were some good moments, but that game 3, I mean, they were tilted. They were not feeling it in any way. And that is just not acceptable performance from the team that went 15-3 in the regular season and also is coming off of a Split 1 victory.
My shining light is 369 did his job and did his best as he always does. Yeah. But no, wow. I was not expecting this one, Grapes. That is one of the more one-sided series we've seen. And frankly, a return to form for BLG. Because when these guys were at their best, LPL it's a chaotic league, you know? Like, we see upsets, series like JDG Weibo all the time, you know? BLG was so good because they always took care of business all the time. And talk about taking care of business and what a depressing series for Top Esports. Like, you just got blitzed, man. From start to finish. Even the winning plays you had in the first 2 games, instantly poor responses from Top Esports as BLG were outplaying them. Yeah, like that last game for Cream was ugly. Every game for the Top Esports bot lane was ugly. I don't really know the positives you can take away from that and run with throughout this bracket.
The only positive I have is that Top Esports went on a lower bracket run to win Split 1, so they're going to have to do the same thing here to win Split 2. I believe they find themselves in the side of the bracket as JDG, though, which could be a bit of an issue, as I believe they play the winner between them and Team WE a little bit later on here. We still have a lot of best of 5s to go in the LPL playoffs, as we are ending this split in less than 2 weeks' time, as a very normal gold graph comes through here as BLG going to move on to play against the winners of Weibo and AL, which is happening tomorrow.
I mean, sub Baron spawn victory to wrap out a series. Shout out to BLG on that one, as again, kind of, I was not expecting what we saw today, Grapes. I really felt like I had BLG 3-1, but I really felt like it'd be a competitive series with BLG winning. That series was not competitive. It was ugly, to be frank.
I mean, yeah, we're going to go through the highlights right now, but it's all just going to be clips of BLG winning.
A lot of Top
Esports,
a
lot of cream
here.
Dying. Yeah, a lot of cream dying here in this package, probably.
It's so surprising to me. Like, even this one, I mean, this felt like the Hail Mary, and it's just not going to, like, we're down. It was Berserker Greaves and a recurve bow against Eclipse. So, like, why are we going for that play, right? And then... yeah, I mean, BLG, they had the stronger early comp. I know we didn't really talk about scaling a lot in this game. Like, what is this from Jaculov? Like, it's actually so frustrating to watch Top Esports, like, just spawn into this game, and it felt like they just kind of FF'd it with some really bad plays, some really bad clicks. I feel like BLG, again, did play well, but at least the last couple games, we saw some fight from top, and BLG kind of capitalizing off mistakes, having some good early game rotations. This one just felt like a straight-up FF, quite frankly.
Maybe they're just trying to get home quicker, get their draft prep ready for the lower bracket soon, because it's coming up a little bit quicker than you might originally expect at this point, and it's gonna have to be what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 best of 5s in a row that Top Esports have to win. Hey, they did it in the past to win Split 1, but if this is the form that they're looking at, I mean, it's not gonna happen again.
Nope, they ain't winning anything, Grapes. Yeah, if it was inside the NBA, man, I'd love to see how they covered this series from Top Esports.
Sending TS back to Galveston. This one.
Yeah, no. Top Esports 1 series away from going to Galveston. They don't deserve calculate with this one.
I don't know the Galveston equivalent in China, but maybe we'll come up with it.
I've had so. You know what? Maybe they can go international to Galveston. Maybe that's got to be it, Graves. I've had so many inside the NBA clips come up in the last couple days. They've all been just golden. Yeah, I wish I could get away with the stuff that Chuck says on air, but unfortunately, I'm not that cool. I'm not that good at my job. But, you know, it is what it is.
Hey, we strive to get there one day. Much like Top Esports, going to have to strive to be better here in the rest of this lower bracket. As BLG, I mean, they completely dominated their series against IG. They've completely dominated their series against Top Esports. They have not dropped a game in the playoffs so far. And that is a welcome sight to see. People were wondering if the honeymoon phase was going to wear off once we got into the postseason. Doesn't look like it. Looks like BLG is still one of the better teams that we have here in the league.
Knight was my MVP. Same with yours. Feel justified in that one, you know. Regular season award, but screw it. Again, Knight just kind of fathered Cream in this one. And, man, I still cannot believe. Like, we spawned in to game 1 at, like, less than 2 hours and 20 minutes ago. Like, that was a lightning fast series. And just complete domination from BLG. And I'm curious to see how Top Esports can bounce back. Like, regardless of what fan sentiment is for them and going international, they have proven in this league that they have deserved to go international in the past. And if they want to do it this split, they're going to really have to bounce back. But, man, they did not leave a lot to be desired for their performance in this one. That was quite tough coming out from them.
Again, our defending champions, they had so many awesome performances from 369 and Kanavi in the split, the first split. Kanavi winning the MVP of the LPL proper broadcast. Is of course still have to wait to see what our votes are at the end of the day for LPL English, but they're gonna have to lock in. It's one way or the other. Do something. Find improvements, most notably in the mid and bot lane, as again their schedule gonna be pretty difficult because they play against the winners of JDG versus WE in a couple of days. If JDG win and we have Top Esports versus JDG in the lower bracket quarterfinals or whatever that may be, I mean, what a crazy story that would be.
Yeah, I know that we're trying to work on getting some lower bracket previews up there for you, as of course we got to show where we're at afterwards. But Grapes, that does make things a little bit more interesting as we dive throughout. I know with both JDG and Top Esports in the lower bracket, two teams that we had in the top 4, deservedly so from what we saw in regular season, and now going to have to really fight it out to see who ends up advancing. Again, trying to be that second team to go to MSI and EWC, and of course try and hoist that LPL trophy at the end of the split. Two of the favorites already find themselves down there early, and BLG, the sleeping giant, has been awoken.
And Binwan, your player of the game, I think, with a lot of large help from Cream, so maybe he's got to, Venmo him $5 or something after that one. Buy him dinner for getting him another vote on
Milk was a
pod.
bad choice, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So final score here: Billy Gaming 3, Top Esports 0, in a rematch of a lot of finals in the past, a lot of playoff matches in the past. Maybe one of the more one-sided ones that we have seen, and it comes in the favor of BLG. And that's going to do it for our coverage here on LPL English. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, 5 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. GMT, for Anyone's Legends up against Weibo Gaming. Winner going to play against BLG in that upper final in a little bit over a week's time. Before we say farewell, a big shout out to Kelsey Moser, our producer, to Chippy, our technical director behind the stage, and of course you, Cubby, for being alongside us. We got straight from Raleigh.
24 hours. Yeah.
Straight from Raleigh to here. It's been good.
Time to go to bed after the coffee wears off, The coffee of the series that I thought would be a lot more exciting and competitive than this. But, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and support of the broadcast. It really is a treat to be able to cast such great games in front of you, and always treat to get paired up with you as well. Grapes had a good time. Shout out to the support behind the scenes and anyone that has dropped a sub, like, comment, anything. Just viewed our channel. Doing our best to bring the best League of Legends that we can to you.
Speaking of, a big shout out to our Elite Coffee supporters as well. Aaron, Soup, Mung, and Forrest. Without their pledged financial contributions, help level up the broadcast and give back to cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. Speaking of every day, we're right back here tomorrow, once again with Anyone's Legends up against Weibo. 3-0 in favor of BLG in the first upper semifinal of the 2025 Split 2 of the LPL. We'll see you tomorrow.